What is up, my friends? This is Dan Tom, host of the Protect Your Neck podcast. You can find my work, of course, at MMA Junkie and on the Action Network. But on this year program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, well, we break down high-level MMA, and that's what we're going to do here today, tonight, whenever you're listening to this. Hopefully it's before the fight, and, this will be the last episode. Yeah, we're doing an indefinite break here. Sorry I'm fashionably late, and you guys are still somehow here waiting with some loving comments that I don't deserve and I'll get to. But thank you guys, man. Apologies for the jump on this, although, like, to be fair, I kind of gave a hint to it. It wasn't me just being emotional as I may be. Yeah, sure. So wear my heart on my sleeve. Yeah, are guilty, right? Always complaining or whatever. Okay, fine. But it's not an MMA retirement. It is from the heart. There are genuine reasons for it, etc., etc. All to say is that, unfortunately, I'm not lying. But check the timestamps if you want to jump forward in this one. I feel like not timestamping this one because it's like my last one, and I'm like on 5 hours of sleep between the last 2 days. 3 hours last night, 2.5. But yeah, maybe I'll skip that, right? Because it's like, usually I try to spare you guys, but I actually have like a decent amount of shouts that I'm sure I'm still going to forget people. That I wanted to shout out, from the chats to colleagues, fellow podcasters, analysts, kind of everybody. And we'll, of course, do the breakdown as we usually do for UFC 307 from top to bottom. I'll try to put in some type of timestamp. Don't worry, folks. So feel free to check the show notes. I'll see what I can cook up for you. And yeah. Let's see. I'll get to you guys here in a second as you guys are jumping in, which I appreciate. But yeah, those of you just tuning in, hopefully it's like not the first time, like, oh, I want to check out this new show. Like, oh, this guy's throwing it in. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't even mean to do this, but it seemed kind of poetic, because the first program here, this is episode officially 412. But as you guys know, only recently did I start counting half shows, which still don't even count for episodes, right? So whether it's the .5 shows or all the post-fight recaps, and this show actually started with, as I called them, after-party editions, which was my original name for recap shows. And we did it after Rousey Nunes, UFC 207. That was the night like Cody Garbrandt looked like a genius against Dom Cruz for one night. John Lineker, TJ Dillashaw. And I actually had this channel since 2015, right? Like even the year before that, almost like for 10 years. But I didn't launch it because I'm like, as you can tell, I don't want to say procrastinate because that's not fair. Part of the reason why I'm having to part ways with this show, because I'm just kind of starting to become real with the fact that, like, in my defense, I know as much as I complain, but maybe I should listen to my own complaints, because in my defense, I'm realizing that I do have too much going on. So, which I'll get into here in a second. But yeah, like, so if you count, like, those all those shows, the alternate commentary I did with my man Ant Walker. Shout out to Ant. I don't think I wrote his name. It was one of the many names I forgot to write. Let's write it down here. Ant Walker. The retrospective event rewatches that are still up on my YouTube channel, which I'm going to keep up as well, folks. With my guy Brad Taschuk. Again, shout out to Brad, Wes, Lance, new Sean, hell, old Sean as well, if he's still alive. Jesus Christ, Dan. But yeah, like, the MMA Analysis podcast, those guys having guests on for certain shows. I'm pretty sure I counted most of the top fives, but essentially I've done well over 500 unofficial over 8 years. It's not bad. And like I said, part of the reason why, not to be fair, that's what I was going to round the point to. Danny always comes out of the force. In my defense, it was a lot to do, so I don't want to say it was all procrastinating, but as you guys know who follow my career, one of the first outlets that hired me for mixed martial analyst was MMA Latest. Shout out to my guy, Jordan Killian, a.k.a. Jordan Douglas. I love Jordan, man. I hope he's doing well with his fam. One of my favorite, still one of the most co-hosts I've ever had on this show, by the way, because he was kind enough to have me on the MMA Latest podcast. So a lot of my podcasting was done with that crew, like, the Rousey home upset, like, from 2015. So it wasn't until like 2016 until I finally like kicked my own ass, started my own show. And that's what you got here, folks, the Protect Your Neck podcast. And even though it was hard, and again, in my defense, I did try to bite off more than I could chew. I mean, how many people, no matter what they do in this space, even if they just talk shit on Twitter and like maybe whether they post pics or not, right? Like how many people last 8 years or have a podcast that lasts, or this or that. Like it's, say what you will about this show. Like that's pretty damn impressive, man. Not many people get to the 500 mark or much less close to it. Not many people get to 3 years or 5 years, much less 8 or close to 10. And usually you've got co-hosts, some structure, support, whether it's officially on the show or off the show, right? People behind the scenes. Usually a good woman, right? And a corner of every good man is a good one, whatever that adage is, right? There's a lot of that. And even though this couldn't be done without you guys and my amazing guest co-hosts and people who have stepped up recently during, real dark and tough times. Shout out to my guy Fenyo, who I know is in the chat right now. Just one of my favorite people in this space. Couldn't do it without you guys. But at the same time, yeah, like to my credit, I guess, I didn't have any producers, no backing, no not even like regular co-host or anything like that. Like this has been a solo show. And I essentially set out to do kind of like, in-depth breakdowns, my weird personality, sure, all that, but like, kind of like the Bill Burr of MMA podcasting, but for MMA breakdown podcasting, kind of like a solo old school pod. I never even meant to do YouTube. That was part of the reason why I didn't dust this channel off till even later after the podcast, right? And even though, I want to be hard on myself for these things not working, I'm proud of myself, man. Again, I'm proud of myself for doing this. Even the things that didn't work, like or as well, like YouTube, I'm glad I tried it because it allowed me to meet you amazing folks who I have your guys' names written down in the chat. From Enforcer number 1, Jimmy Kudo. Enforcer number 2, Ghost Phantom. Of course, Fenyo, friend, fellow co-host, third Enforcer. Man in many hats. We got James Kendrick, Rain Lamina, whose rhymes I just fell in love with. I'm upset, not upset, literally, obviously. My guy Rain comes clean and stuff, but I wish it wasn't a Jack Slack's gimmick because I was like, this guy comes in here with these rhymes that always, put me in check with a smile, and these comments did more than you guys realize. I always appreciate it. Of course, my guy Mark Fellows was one of the best people in the MMA podcast community. We got M. Pauly, Jin Karasu, Makato Kayagoku, guest host with Dan Albert, Robin Black, one of the first ones, with top 5 BJ Penn moments back in the day before I banned him from this podcast. Not Robin, BJ. That was like one of the first episodes of this. Which was huge back in the day, especially like watching what was it with Robin Black and John Ramdeen, up at, I don't know if it was like former TSN. My guy Aaron Bronstetter, shout out to him, would know. Getting both the guys from Heavy Hands on here multiple times, Phil and Connor. I wanted to do a top 5 Tekken parallel with my guy Phil there, but I didn't get around to that one. But I love those guys. Support the Heavy Hands podcasts. Of course, Combat Chronicles, my guy Kyle Mack, amazing guests. I'm still going to reference him for my top 5 90s listicle. Eventually do that. Of course, Chronic Combat Conversations, Guru, TB, Greg Tyler. You guys are just gems, man. Dan Levy, Half the Battle. Me and Dan have been co-hosts for many things. I've been on his show. He's been on mine. We had Line Movement. Me and Dan have had like killer shows and a bunch of combinations. Some amazing shows on here. Dan Levy. Speaking of podcasts that have been around for a minute, I mean, that dude deserves some respect too, as well. Obviously, MMA Analysis has been around forever. Love those guys. My guy Ant Walker, Jordan, I mentioned. GG Goes. Sorry, guys, I'm going to cut through this. I'm going to go to the chat just before I forget, and you guys can get your shouts, and I can. We'll get on. GG and Goes, of course, man. I owe probably the most in this space too. I was just a caller, MMA Junkie Radio. Just kind of, just the inkling, of these ideas weren't even really fully birthed yet. And, these guys were allowing me to come on their show, whether it was a call-in guest or even like as a guest host, like back in the day, like back in like 2010 or something, jumping on with Goes one day randomly to fill in, because something happened with George, you couldn't make the show. And you fast forward years later, all of a sudden I'm working with MMA Junkie, and I'm on their very show, and being able to be on Sirius XM, and as crazy as that time was, and boy, was I burnt out then as well, right? I was really burning the candles at both ends. Like, it was such a great experience, man. I had some of the best experiences of my life, the best laughs on that show. So it sucks to have yet another show kind of go away, and this one's my own. But I definitely have been through this before, and want to shout out the people who have come before me and helped me, be here. So George and Goes and MMA Junkie Radio, who you can still support and listen to, they just clocked their 3,500th show, 3,500. You know how insane that is, guys. I feel silly bringing up I'm unofficially 500, compared to those OGs. So shouts to those guys. Of course, my guy Aaron Bronstetter, way too kind. Another person, right up there. These real top three as far as colleagues in the space and just being there for me behind the scenes. Of course, Dan Stupp gave me the job at MMA Junkie. Just Dan, always been a guy, just super respectable. Everybody that I knew of just respect, revere, looked up to this guy. OG's been around, really gave his time and space and started something, beautiful in MMA Junkie, before he moved on. And thankfully I was able to come aboard with him again, as he just would reach out his hand and always be looking out for me. To now work at Action Network with Dan. And Dan's another guy with GG and Goes. I don't know if I could ever pay those guys back. I don't care how many drinks I could buy them, so to speak. Of course, my guy Tony C, one of the most supportive listeners, and through here, and not just through any type of silly donations or whatever. Me and Tony actually text, and speaking of laughs and just important messages when you need it, just again, I wouldn't have had this without this show, guys. I'm so fucking grateful. I know I haven't been at my best, but that doesn't mean I'm not grateful for you guys. And right up there is I'm going to speak in code here. The Bill, the Chris. I'm not sure if you're listening to this, brother. It's been a minute, but here's another person. If I owe, and I don't even know if I can pay back, it's this person as well. And I feel like I owe this person for many reasons. So I just really want to shout the Chris, the Bill, a real salt of the earth character, met during the pandemic. And, he is somebody where if I'm not someone to get inside information and this and that, but he's one of those people too, where if I did know something, I would give to. And I feel bad because I do have people that I would do that with, even though, I would never do this publicly, and I do stand by that, folks. But here's how moralistic I am, and it's for good reason. There's been times where I've been tempted to do that, and I was just so nervous. I didn't want to, what do we look at Renato Moicano, Benoit Saint Denis, right? Look how big of an underdog Moicano was. If you guys knew that he had a shoulder separation going into that fight, how much harder would y'all who are already betting Saint Denis bet on him more, right? It's that classic conundrum, right? The Valentina Shevchenko talk before the second fight, and she ends up having one of her best performances with Grasso, right? So you always got to be careful about that. And the times where I did want to give my guys, inside information, whether it was Tony C's, the Chris's of the world, I'm glad I didn't, because, as you guys have seen, some of my most confident picks have gone down the drain. But I never forget these things. I never forget these people, even though it may seem like I do. Or I apologize if it seems like I do, or if it seems like I'm ever ungrateful. I apologize. But you guys really mean so much more than me than I can ever realize. And another person, again, Cupcake Katie, speaking of the MMA Junkie radio crew, shout out to John Rico, who, by the way, check out his show with my guy, Danny Otto there. And they do recaps. What's their show now? I'm forgetting. God damn it. But they have an excellent retro recap show there. Poppin' Off, I think. Poppin' Off channel. Aaron Menard, of course, Junkie radio guy. He's if you recognize him, he may or may not be an official, a qualified official who works, Muay Thai, MMA, and this and that. And Aaron just came up like a listener like me, and always giving me words of encouragement. My man Ramundo, one of the brightest energies who I always come across. I love Ramundo. Cupcake Katie, always sending me encouraging words, cards, all this shit that I don't deserve, and just a constant person in my corner. Shout out to just a couple more here, folks, and I'll get to it, I promise. Mike, God damn it, let's see, Mike S. Now I'm fucking getting confused here. Greek and Kalikas, John Anik, of course, the Grappling Hour, Rafa Sparza, always being someone in my corner who I could talk to as well. Just appreciate the fuck out of you guys, all you guys. So there we go. Those are my shouts. I'm seeing some of you guys in here, so I'm going to pay you guys off real quick, and then we'll get on with the breakdown while we were here. How about that, folks, huh? All right, Fenyo, I know. Sad faces, I know. Me too, buddy, but... it's for the better. TB Scouting, love you, Dan, and appreciate all you have done for this space. A great man for sure. Oh, that's way too kind, man. Thank you. Of course, Chronic Combat Conversations, we love you. Lighten one up as we speak. Thank you, guys. Yeah, light them if you got them. Light them if you got them. I appreciate that. I'd join you guys if I could. Phantom Punch Breakdowns, PYN for life. Last show. First ever PYN episode I listened to was your UFC 248 recap. And now we are here for 307. Man, that means a lot, and I'm so glad you of all people caught that in that episode, especially Ghost. And again, just so lucky to have met you, as well as you got James Kendrick in here. Can't believe this is the last show. Gonna miss these times. Yeah, me too, man. I kind of realized how many times I've said your guys' names and shit. And even though I'm really trying to do this for my health guys, again, socially, especially through these times, you guys have been some of my, bright spots. I know I come in here and, complain it's okay, Benji. Complain or come in my moods or whatever, but, oh, man, I can't tell you how many times you guys make me feel better there. Yes, and Tuesday, I'm truly grateful for teaching us all more about MMA. I mean, I don't want to come off like a fucking douche or any more than I maybe do, I guess, or whatever. But yeah, man, teaching is something I love to do, and I think that's the only reason why I can write and break things down is because I've had experience teaching martial arts, and I'm nobody special. But if I do like helping people though, so not from an ego perspective, I'm glad I could teach you something or someone something. That's not how I mean it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I guess, but for me, it comes for I was able to help somebody. Awesome. More people should help people. So that's where it comes from for me, for what it's worth, folks. Not that I'm some fucking saint. I'm just saying. Jin Karasu, it's sad to see you go, but if it helps you heal and get better, I'm all for it. Like we say, PYN for life. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's not even just so much that for me as well, folks, but something I didn't mention, and I don't even know how much I can even share with you guys here, but of course, I'm always very transparent, very honest to a fault, and I'll continue to do that. But part of the reason as well is not just, it's it's the gambling. It's no, I'm actually still going to be gambling and tracking that. My written's still going to be everywhere. It's just this show. My gambling stuff is separate from, the money I earn, the money I pays my bills with and stuff like that. It's more, there was always a ticking time on this before I even officially worked in the gambling space, even though I've been doing this since before I officially worked in the space for over 10 years now. But it's more the gamble that I took on myself. Again, I gambled on myself for this career. I basically, had a sum of money that I invested when I was younger. I didn't expect to see back. And it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to where I could make a decision and fall into all the basic life trappings. Create some more bills and all that stuff, right? Or I could bet on myself and really go for it. And that mixed with the confluence of getting the concussions, training for my second amateur fight, getting those really bad where I have to wear glasses and stuff, and you guys know those stories with fuck Whole Foods with them firing me for it despite having insurance and being legit impaired still to this day. That put me in a position to really shit or get off the pot. And I'm glad I did, folks, and I have no regrets. As bummed out as I've been the way things have been going, to be honest, it could have gone the way it should have gone. And again, the fact is, because the fact is you can't, you can't rely on it either. Just the same energy of, okay, the gambling's separate. Well, when the going's good, I'm not gonna lie. Have I helped myself? Have I helped family members? I was just at my veterinarian today. Have I helped vets or animal shelters in town? Absolutely, and that's actually one of the real big bum outs. As far as these losing streaks, like I just had one of the vet technicians was just like, "Oh, they can't believe," because Ben had a skin infection. I had like 2 vet appointments since I last saw you guys. It's been insane. Of course, what's new, right? But like, yeah, Ben, I had to take Ben in for 2, mild emergencies. He's fine, but he had a nasty skin infection that I took him in for today. And they're like, "Oh, we don't even recognize your dog." And the picture's only like a couple years old, but Ben's just been graying out so much. And it's also made me realize that even though it's still only 2.5 years old or so, I'm like, oh wow, it's been like just over 2 years since the last time, or well, no, it's been a little over a year, but the photo was from 2 years ago because the last time I donated was the Cejudo card, Cejudo Sterling, because I got the Kennedy and Chukwu guillotine over Devin Clark or something. Was that the fight I got? Yeah, the plus 1,000. And you guys know, and that was just another ironic thing that like, oh, it could have helped or whatever, which is whatever. You can't depend on that stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, when I'm winning, everyone with me is winning, right? This stuff's able to stay afloat, but more importantly, I'm able to help out family members who need it, which is something that is what I was rounding to is actually going on right now. On top of it, so like. It does suck not having that, right? It does suck, as far as that goes, because I know everybody piles on me for my record or whatever. That sadly is, I only did that for that app since I started with Action App or started working for Action Network just for fun or whatever, and that only is represents 2 years of my stuff, right? But of course that's what gets hung on to, and but yeah, even for example, up until last year and the year before and 2021, 2022, it's gotten steadily worse. And there's plenty of bad bets, folks. I'll come clean on that for sure. But as far as my bad beat streak, which is real, disproportionate, and factual, that started back in 2021 and has steadily gotten worse, right? But even then, just between me and you guys, and I don't bet crazy amounts. So this is a lot for me, not a lot for a lot of people. But even on air quote losing years, because again, even on this epic losing streak where I went 0 for 10 and now I'm on the verge of going 0 for 20, I've actually had winning nights. I've had a decent amount of winning nights, untracked. But again, folks, it's untracked, right? I keep the same energy. I seldom ever, if at all, talk about it. Even times like this where I could use some positive juju and be like, oh, I actually broke even last week. Or I actually, came in plus, a couple weeks before. It's not like that, right? It's not, that doesn't count, but because that is a fact though. Even on these losing years, what I was going to get to, between you and me, so how do you think I go into Thailand? How do you think of these things? Because I was still able to have at any time at least 2 to 3 grand just kind of sitting around, and that for me is a lot. It's not a lot to a lot of people, perhaps, but that to me is a lot. And so when I hear people talk about bankroll management and stress these things and stuff, and it's to make themselves sound smarter or this or that. I'm just I could have been doing that too because I was actually living that life, right? These years I was on track, especially because I was on track, I could have definitely been that asshole who was just talking the shit, right? Even more so. But I didn't, and I could back it up. And I still didn't because, again, even when I was air quote doing good, I knew then gambling is stupid. It's not responsible. Go rewind the tape, folks, to when I was doing good. Go rewind the tape years ago to one of my first appearances on the Heavy Hands podcast with Connor and Phil, and they were asking me about that, and they were kind of somewhat surprised to hear that I said I hate it. What? You love this stuff. I was doing well at the time, right? What do you mean? I'm well, it takes away your enjoyment. Sure, I might be doing well, but I was realistic enough then, when I was even dumber than I was now, right? Doing well or even more arrogant or whatever you want to levy toward my way, right? Even then I knew it's dumb, it's luck-based, and that luck ain't going to last forever. So that's why I was very hush about how well I would do over the years. Not last year, however many 10 years I've been in this space almost now. But also because it's irresponsible, I always felt it was irresponsible. So I guess that's the irony here of this all. But it also is part of the game, and I'm going to continue to play that game. You guys can continue to track for those of you who like that. For those of you who like my analysis, I'm still going to be doing that. But when it comes to both my gamble coming to an end here, where I got to shit or get off the pot. I'm essentially, I'm barely in the barely getting into the black every month. Month to month like most Americans over here, right? And now you add in that without sharing too much, but one of the few family members I have left who have supported me, who still talk to me, and again on that list of people who I don't know if I could ever pay them back, right? It's kind of two people connected, and yeah, they need my help right now as well, and I'm like, shit, I can barely sleep and feed myself and pay my bills right now, right, folks? You guys see me, that's not good for me, much less other people outside my dogs and house and other things that require my attention. Now I'm having family that requires it as well. So all those things I looked at basically, well, what's not making me money? What's not bringing in money? And it's the podcast, right? It's spending time on social media. It's these things, right? And even though this podcast brings me joy, the social media part, the being in public part, there are things on the scale on the opposite end as well, right? If I'm being honest, right? So long-winded as usual, guys. Apologies. I guess the last time you got to hear from me for what it's worth. But and I'll still be guesting on other shows who'll have me. I'll be on a Level Change podcast this week, etc. Doing stuff with my guy Luca Fury. Shout out to Luca as well. In the future, we were talking to go on his show in the future. But so I'll be around. But I looked at it and I'm like, look at all the time commitments and stuff, and it's just let's trim the fat. Let's give MMA, since MMA has not been very giving to me. No offense, and it's no one's fault, right? This is no one's fault, guys. And that's part of the reason why, because it's I'm not even saying oh, this is what which I've said before, by the way, right? I don't know if guilty of this is the right word, because it's probably fair, but it's not the attitude or prerogative I want right now, which is, oh well, this is why you support and click what you guys want. I'm not even saying that shit, guys. This ain't on you. This ain't on anybody. If it's on anyone, it's on me, right? And that's part of the reason too, is because there are people like you, like the Tony C's and these other people of the world, who are constantly supporting me monetarily and stuff. And it's not fair to you guys either. Even though no one's putting a gun to your guys' head, I feel bad having these portals open for support, and yeah, and I feel like I'm not giving it back as far as my picks and plays, or as far as that kind of stuff goes. Not that these people hold it against me. Not that that's why you guys necessarily tune in, right? And then I can't hold it on my end because, again, even with the Substack gamble that I took, I got a bunch of free subscribers. I appreciate that, but unfortunately, the way the math worked out, I was basically going in the hole with that extension. Bringing Fenyo on and having the Substacks. But because I took that gamble, and also I do genuinely want to keep the Substack open to have a place to express myself, though I may end up closing that too, because like Twitter, apparently it also facilitates Nazis, which I'm learning, unfortunately. Anyways, whole nother thing. But so I won't be doing the post-fight show on that either, because I basically what it comes down to is I can't afford to do that either. But since it was a gamble I make, I'm still going to be doing the alternative card formats, Southpaw reports and stuff as best I can. But if you guys need to unsubscribe from that, as well as members of this channel, which sucks because you'll lose the badge stuff, feel free to. And I guess last thing before I get to you guys finishing the chat and we'll get to this breakdown, as far as this channel goes, and so unfortunately the thing is too is all my hosting fees for the podcast and website became due earlier this year, part of the reason why I started the Substack. And those alone were over $500 for the cost, because it was all 2 and 3 year plans were up. So that was another kind of real hit, was not only can I not afford the monthlies, and I was going in on just basic maintenance stuff, I didn't even come close to covering that, with the Substack launch at all, right? So and that's no, again, I don't even want to mention this shit because I don't even want to make anybody who's fucking supported me feel bad, because all y'all have given me way more than you should. But again, these are the reasons why, I'm still gonna be doing those things, but I want to take that pressure off myself as well. But as far as this channel goes, so that's the thing that sucks is the podcast could still be running. I essentially paid to run the podcast for another 2 or 3 years. So it's going to kind of lay dormant with my site, mixedmartialanalyst.com. And there is no hosting fees for this channel. And there are still some members-only videos that I'm probably, to be honest, I am probably going to open up to the public. So again, those of you who are members, do no hard feelings if you guys want to unsubscribe. That being said, I am keeping up this channel, just like I am keeping my Twitter account up, because I've already uploaded way too many analysis as a resource. I can't, as much as I hate the platforms, I can't, as much as I give hate to myself, I can't deny that, right? So that's going to stay up. And because of this free time, who knows, I may have finally time to do like the GSP Rodney Mullen video, the Bobby Green video, a Jim Miller video, this Dom Cruz video, all these videos I've had in my head that I don't never have time to do, like my Eve Edwards highlight that I did. Like I can actually do these things pretty good when I have the time. Well, maybe not all the time to do those. So this channel actually will still be putting stuff out. That being said, is it going to be enough to justify a membership? Probably not. Is it going to be members only stuff where you have to have a membership? No. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So no hard feelings if you have to unsubscribe, but this channel will still be open and I still will be uploading stuff to it. So for whatever that's worth. All right, moving on. Sorry, Jim Cross's questions have been pinned on here forever. Jimmy Kudo, this is the last time Enforcer number 1 is here. Jimmy, I appreciate you so much, my man. And you've also helped a lot behind the scenes, more than people realize as well. So thank you, Jimmy Kudo, and on behalf of the chat too, thank you as well. If you guys can give shouts to the moderators, Jimmy, Ghost, and Fenya, that would be appreciated because they deserve it. Sammy Arnett, is this really the last show? I'm happy I got to contribute even a little bit. No worries, Sammy Arnett. I've said your name a whole bunch on this show too, so your name amongst all these other chatters live on, because that is the good thing about having a minority show with low numbers, and with a host who, for better or worse, does like to connect and care to a fault, is we've really gotten to connect and really gotten to talk to you guys a lot, which is really cool. Synchro Wing, another regular. Synchro Wing, shouts to Synchro Wing. He goes, this was one of the shows that's had a massive influence on me as an MMA fan. This may be the last conversations will live forever. Wow, thank you, Synchro Wing. Again, please, I'll still be on Substack, a Junkie. You guys can still follow my voice as far as that goes. Well, yeah, you guys are gonna, making me make me teary-eyed. Main Lamina, it's hard to say goodbye to yesterday, Boys to Men. Oh, that's a great shout. You know my 90s. You know I'm a softie for the 90s references, Rain. You know what you're doing. Makato Kayagoku, I'm glad I put your name in there. Glad to see you here. Matt Pauly, Wasabe, it's time. Love the show, and the breakdowns will forever be a favorite. Thank you. I love your Avi, Matt Pauly. Always made me happy to see you here. I don't know, Robin Black did your show back in the day. Yeah, I think it's like one of the first episodes, actually. We recorded it in his hotel room with like John Ramdeen poking around in the background, and we were just going through like Nostalgia City, talking about like the best BJ Penn moments. It was pretty fun. So anyways, folks, 33 minutes in. Wow, I'll timestamp because that was a long one. Let's get into the fucking show, shall we? I'll queue up a breakdown. It's UFC 307. We're gonna go from top to bottom as per usual. You guys know the drill. It's gonna be UFC 307. Alex Poatan Pereira fighting Khalil Rountree, who, of course, I have history with, in the sense of, and hit the like button, guys, by the way. Hit the like button, by the way, please. Appreciate you guys. Wow, 19 likes. Okay, you guys haven't hit the like. Yeah, appreciate it. Somebody came in and hit the down like, Jesus. Come on, even on my last show, you guys are hitting the down like. How much of a hater do you got to be? Like, I'm giving up my passion project. I've gotten my ass stomped in more than like anybody deserves for like over a year. I'm quitting with my hand in hand after saying I suck after how many weeks. And y'all are still taking time out of your day to come downvote me. Gotta love the MMA space, man. Just gems of human beings. And yet I have issues because I would use my calories to choke the living fuck out of these people and piss all over them because it would just humiliate them. Wow, you're sick, Dan. I'm sick, but that's fucking true. And it's also true that these motherfuckers won't do anything about it, even though I'm public. And you still be able to find me at the same bat plays, motherfuckers, which none of y'all ever do. Anyways, let's go here. We're going to be going, all right. live. All right, let's see here. Live now. Sorry, folks, again. The one-man show, you guys know how it is. Breaking down UFC 307 for the final episode of At the PYN Podcast. Come say hi. Come say hi / bye. All right, there we go. All right, we got Alex Pereira, minus 470. Come back and clear Rountree, plus 360. So this fight, I genuinely had a tough time picking. And I think the odds, I don't know if they should be closer, but I do believe that the fight is deceptively closer than the odds indicate. I will say that. As crazy as I sound, but it's like, what do I got to lose? Is it your bias talking, Dan? I'm like, no, if that was the case, I would have had the balls and just picked Rountree straight up, which I was very tempted to do. It's going back and forth longer than I should have, especially since I was already behind this week. But again, this is essentially a firefight. Not even so much, Khalil's knocked out glory kickboxers or whatever. I don't even like delegating it kind of or separating it that way. But yeah, like generally, outside of the Johnny Walker elbow and the clinch, it's been pressure, pace, and grappling that is traditionally, been the common thread in all of Rountree's losses, minus again the Johnny Walker loss, right? And that was kind of just a freak one. I thought it was freak then when everybody was all high on Johnny Walker, and you can kind of see that it was not freak, maybe freak or fluke. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or go all the way out there, but you could see that it maybe a little more closer to the spectrum than perhaps even you might have thought, right? Looking back on that. But as we know in MMA, that's just kind of how it is. It's not, black belts can get submitted by purple belts, right? And the same thing in striking. So that dynamic alone should not surprise us, especially in these bigger divisions where it's more volatile in a different way, right? Especially in the more heavyweight style way, which these guys carry that heavyweight volatility. Both guys have mainly fought at middleweight and light heavyweight, but they're pretty much as big as heavyweights. And, Khalil was literally a heavyweight, and that's also what he started at fighting, even though I feel like I saw much more heavyweight fights at Tough Enough than what's shown on his record. So I still don't know about that. But yeah, they both have accolades, whether it's amateur MMA or of course, Poatan in kickboxing and the UFC, a little more heavier accolades. But yeah, at light heavyweight and middleweight, Poatan, of course, 1-0 against UFC level southpaws Jamal Hill. The only other dedicated UFC lefty was Thomas Powell in the LFA. Of course, knocked both those guys out with devastating right hooks or left hooks. Knocked out Adesanya the second time in kickboxing, whilst Adesanya was in a southpaw stance with a left hook. What's his name? He only fought two, and they weren't the most notable, and I'm forgetting the names now. Eastern European guy and a Brazilian guy who were dedicated southpaws in his kickboxing career. Of course, I have that in my southpaw report, which I will be doing an additional one where I'll be adding some clips from Yuri 2, as well as, of course, the Jamal Hill sample to update and revise Poatan Pereira southpaw report. Of course, that, as well as the first half of the southpaw report, is all clipped up, but you guys know, or maybe you don't, but it takes a lot of time to do those, so that's just... And there's six... There are six southpaws. We'll get to Court McGee is fucking, and it's Court McGee, so they're all fucking decisions. The dude is 7 samples, 7 fights in his record alone. We've got another 5-fight sample. I mean, so it's a big one for the Southpaw report this week. So who knows? Maybe I'll get him to you more timely. That'll be a silver lining with not having to stress for show prep, I guess. But yeah. Poatan looks good against southpaws. He's much more comfortable in kickboxing. Maybe it's the big gloves, the not grappling dynamic, but that's when you would see him using more the Sidicha style rear leg knee. He still uses lead hands, a lot more body jabs, which is great in MMA. he'll still use his knees in the open. He really likes those knees, which come alive, and I think could be big here, especially if I don't think Khalil's going to be squatting forward, like the Carl Roberson fight, but as crouch. But Khalil does naturally have a crouch where he to him in all his kind of iterations. So I think the knees are going to be something to look out for, and both fighters, as we've seen in recent fights and throughout their career, I'd argue, have deceptively fast switch kicks. So for Khalil, it's his right, because that's his lead side as a southpaw. And for Poatan, it's his left, which, I did note in the breakdown before Yuri, looking at his pads and looking at how quick that kick was. And even though I officially picked him to win by left hook knockout in round 1, which, by the way, just like 5 seconds longer, and I would have cashed that. Remember that round 1 was in a parlay, was in a round robin as well. And I came up like just short on that night, even though Poatan did come through. Again, just this close. So many of them just fucking this close, man. But yeah, like it ended up being that left kick in round 2. That's something that's going to be live even for both parties here. I know Poatan is really tall, but even just to the body, right? Because if in the Southpaw report, one of the common threads that Poatan is not beyond getting hit with is body kicks and Southpaw counters. You see that even in like the Bruno Silva fight. Bruno Silva hits him with a couple of like counters that like I could see Khalil hitting, especially with that check right hook. That's kind of what's in my head is that check right hook. But ultimately for me, and I put this in the breakdown, it comes down to Poatan's jab. And the fact that he jabs in the open stance, something that I already pointed out in my Southpaw report, and as you'll see in the revised Southpaw report where I look at his last 2 fights, you see that. Now, the Hill fight is actually kind of worrisome because he almost gets a little too lackadaisical. I don't know if he got just kind of checked out or a little too comfortable with the leg kicking at range, which I get it, even though Hill's not as explosive as fast as Rountree, he is longer and has more parity, so the danger's still there. And you're not getting as close when it's that step up outside open stance leg kick. That step up leg kick you'll hear like Jack Slack talk a lot about. Those are a little harder to counter, especially when you're going to the calf, because that puts you at an even further distance. And then even though Poatan can move a bit with his head upright, can go a bit straight liney if you catch him, if you catch him reactive enough, right? He still gives him a lot of distance to play with, for whatever the reach count is. We got 76.5 inches on Rountree and 80 for Khalil. So there's some room to play there a little bit for that. But it worries me because, and I don't need to clip this because my guy Miguel Class already did. Shout out to Miguel, by the way, another amazing analyst. Shout out to my guy Ryan Wagner, amazing analysts, of course. But yeah, like you got Miguel's clipped Khalil. He's always been sharp at countering kicks. That's something I noticed because I even went back to rewatch like his RFA fights and his middleweight fights and shit like that. And yeah, he's always had hard wire for kicks. So not just because jabbing over kicking is going to be the safer thing at range for that reason. But also offensively. Now, it's tough because you don't find people that jab at Rountree that much. Even people who do jab a lot, like you got to go to Anthony Smith and Jacoby, and those guys are, for one, Smith doesn't jab as much as he I don't want to say normally does because it's inconsistent. Sometimes you just got, credit to Krause. Krause had him like jabbing the most consistently, right? For that Glover fight, like he actually has, we remember the beatdown, but remember the jabs for the first couple rounds. Like Smith was like a fucking output machine. You're like, why doesn't Smith do this more? And maybe that's why, because he gassed himself out and like took an epic beating. But I was hoping to see Smith jab Rountree more. He didn't really do it, but when he did, that clearly bothered him. Lead hands and then going to the body or the legs. Body shots have always been something that has bothered Rountree from both stances. You could even like go back to certain instances where even though he would win the fight, you would see good openings and even arguable reactions from Rountree getting hit to the body. In previous matches, obviously Poatan goes to the body. He jabs to the body, which is going to be great. Taxing Rountree. Rountree's learned to pace himself, where now he's like that dude who's like, I forget who coined this term. I want to say it was probably one of the MMA gambling dudes, or the Chronic Combat guys had on a guest, and I had that on the background, but someone said something about like I think they're talking about Petrovsky as like a functional gasser or something like that, like people who could fight gas essentially. And Rountree has taught himself to do that, but this is at elevation. And even in his best performances, he's still showing bad optics. He's still showing to get tired, whether he is as tired as he air quote looks or not, right? And B, he arguably didn't win some of those fights. Now I've been one again to defend Ben Cartlidge, despite him constantly deciding to go against me, Luke, Thomas, everybody else who's like fucking does nothing but praise Ben Cartlidge, and then he comes out and gives these scorecards where we're just like, how do you defend that one, Dan? Which regardless of if I bet it or which side I'm on, enough is like already puts us in a spot, right? And then the fact that, of course, not so coincidentally, every scorecard is like an American History X shower scene dick up my ass. Sorry for the graphic language, but that's essentially what it is. Pretty close. I mean, I've never experienced it, so I'm only guessing. Gotta imagine that's kind of close. Anyways, I'm not willing to find out after how painful enough this betting run's been. But yeah, he's turning those in, and I rewatched it. I know Spilt Milk's over, and if anything, I actually defended that decision. And I did pick Rountree there, so you're like, oh, well, you were biased on that one. That's why you defended it, Dan. Like, not really. It wasn't a confident pick, and if you go back, I actually didn't bet it because Dustin Jacoby, I've been a big Dustin Jacoby fan, and Dustin Jacoby has always made some money for me. And Jacoby had a different style of jab because he's more of a sticky jab. He reaches out and does hand traps, and those were all really effective. And when he was jabbing, it was giving Khalil problems. And even when he wasn't hitting him, it was still exhausting him because it would trigger Khalil. It would trigger his counters. And, jabs, of course, we know are hard to counter, even though I love jab counters. Like, maybe because, it's one of those things where, you take it for granted if you're used to it. But because I'm a southpaw, no one ever wants to fucking jab me, so I always have to go orthodox. And not just go orthodox because it's MMA, still no one wants to fucking just jab in general. So I have to, not just switch my stance, but then I have to fucking jab at people a bunch of times, till they fucking jab me, and then I can hit my steep as I call for the pads when I'm working pads with my guy Oscar, who's fighting Bare Knuckle FC. When I call for the steep, he does the Klitschko, the inside parry counter where you parry, right hand's over the top, body jab slips, which I do whenever I get a southpaw. Like you saw in the brief Bang Tao highlight, I was just splitting jabs on one southpaw guy I got. I was just body jabbing him all day, doing my Poetan impression, and then I slipped and got one over, even though I think he fucking missed that part. Damn it. It looked sweet, though. Trust me. Your boy's got those moves. So I love jab counters, but they're not necessarily the easiest to hit. And if you saw that even in the jabs that Jacoby would miss, it would pull out the counter triggers, which of course would make in return Rountree miss. And you swinging at air, that's also what gets you tired. And pace managements you could point to, defense on the scorecards you could make. The fact is there was a lot of missed swings in, very Babe Ruth-esque, right? The dynamic there. A lot of missed swings for Rountree on the feet as well, which is also what contributes to getting you tired. So long as Poetan comes out and jabs, I think he's going to be fine. But like I was saying with the Hill thing, what worried me is it took him about 1 minute and 5 seconds before he throws his first jab. It's 3:55 on the first round. Again, it's only a minute. Yeah, but he was throwing the same kick over and over again. He wasn't throwing inside. He wasn't throwing inside rear. He wasn't changing up to body or outside head, which is more than enough counter reads for Rountree. And if you look at Rountree's record, I mean, most of his finishes are in that first minute and a half. So 1 minute and 5 seconds is more than enough time for Rountree to separate any human, even somebody as skillful as Pereira, because if it bleeds, we can kill it, right? It's more than enough time for him to separate anyone from their consciousness. So even if he waits as long as he did with Hilt's jab, that's still going to worry the fuck out of me. I think he's going to have to survive some early storms. He's going to have to jab. And if he doesn't jab, he's going to be in really big fucking trouble. And for that reason, the reason of people not giving him enough credit, despite the MMA Gods joke that we all make, despite it being so obvious, that joke this time around, right? Like, how perfect would it be? Poetan riding a high, right? Someone getting taxed, right, when they're riding that high. somebody getting taxed when they're riding that streak of activity, right? Just those. I don't want to say the times where the community's asking for it, because I feel like I'm on those things more often than not, and we know my record. So I don't want to say that's going to count in the juju factor, because that seemingly hasn't counted for much, but it does here. As far as it's the moralistic, oh wow, this is such a great story. How did we not see this coming? To the more Occam's razor and even the less emotional part of it, but just as emphatic being, hey, dummies, these are two big fucking dudes. We think Peloton's got a magic fucking dick or something that can keep him protected? Like, what are we fucking doing here? These are two dangerous dudes. Why is one minus 600? These are small gloves. So for that reason alone, yeah, me trying to separate my bias. Maybe me being a bitch and protecting whatever is left of my ego or whatever cares about that, which is small. But yes, I'm officially picking Peloton. Dude, but as far as a bet goes, these numbers, I know it's like Derek Lewis style where Khalil's money line and knockout props always going to inherently be the same because he's, especially in a 5-round fight. What's Rountree by KO? 500, wow. Especially if I can get plus 500. Yeah, I'm throwing Rountree by KO in a round robin at the very least. If I'm up, and I'm not even going to say pausing for laughter, because guys, I mean, not just, oh, man, how long can the universe do me dirty regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the number, regardless if it's my final show? But it is my final show for what it's worth. And even though I'm still going to be making these bets and tracking them, I'm not going to be doing any Twitter productions about it so I can, entertain people for free while I just get fucking shit on like a normal Saturday, right? So this is going to be the last Saturday. Oh, they're so cute cuddling over there, you guys. This will be the last Saturday of the gift theme. So I'm like, ooh, do I go, Aliens, Ripley loading up down the elevator? I've done that too much. No. Die Hard, that's my favorite movie ever, right? That's like probably my number one. Fuck it. C4 jumping off the building. That's honestly what I was going to go with, right? But then I saw that picture. I came across that Halloween picture of me and Khalil where he's actually, someone said Reservoir Dogs. I was actually doing Reservoir Dogs. But you're Asian. Yeah, I'm Asian, Mr. Blonde. Okay, whatever. But Khalil was actually Sam Jackson from Pulp Fiction. And the other guy, gentleman, another singer of another band. There's all a bunch of old hardcore kids growing up, even though it was like 11 years ago, the photo. And Nick Arthur was Travolta from Reservoir Dogs. And somebody's just like, oh, the Tarantino costumes, and got like a photo of us that looked pretty cool. So I posted that. It's also up on, that's the same photo that's in the Fluid Thoughts or whatever. But yeah, it is my last show, right? And then also, guys, I know I joked when I was like, oh man, remember the first epic streak of this year where I went 0-10? And I finally won on the Alex Perez Nicolau card. And I'm like, oh wow, am I going to have to go another 10? Or maybe, hopefully the universe will maybe only make me go 0 for 20. Ha ha ha, joke, 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 wink, wink, wink. Well, here I am, folks. 0 for 19 heading into Saturday. Final show. And even according to these fucked up trends, if that's holding true, if I went 0 for 10, and now they're going to suffer me this whole fucking time in full fashion, play the game, where's the controversy of the card? Like, literally do that to every fucking card this year and go see where Dan Tom's at, and we're at a 99.99%, motherfuckers. We're about to be on 20. So even this fucked up streak trend, just saying. I'm just saying it won't matter. I'm already dead. Don't matter to me. But I'm just, for what it's worth, folks, for the numbers trend. So that's why I'm not even going to make the wink and the nudge joke. If I'm up, I am throwing money on Khalil Rountree by knockout. Or I'm already going to pre-flop. I'm already trying to make room for him by knockout in my round robin. Not even a hedge round robin, folks. A real round robin. And yeah, if I get a good number going over the counter, I may just lay it straight pre-flop, because again, I don't do over the counter ads unless I'm in a casino watching, which I don't think I'm going to be. I'm going to be with try to hang out with some friends as well as still tweet live, because it is technically my last night. So I don't even think these hater trolls could even ruin that at this point. Especially all y'all coming so strong, I appreciate it. So yeah, that's gonna be it, man. I know it's a fucking cop out, but I'm calling for what it is. But I'm also showing the work as to why I have both sides, as I always do. Um, but yeah, the official pick is Poatan by round 3. But just there's no real juicy ways to play him. Even I don't even trust it. To go to the round 2 or 3s. Maybe I'll add some of those as well for Poatan, I guess. But I'd have to be up. I don't like the numbers. What I'd have to lay. What I would get back. And then you also add that into what are you already risking? How is that way out for your overall bankroll? Again, back to bankroll management, folks, right? I know I'm a shitty better, but again, I've been able to do this, folks. My losing years weren't losing, and I was still able to do these things. And I'm not a drug dealer, and I don't have a money tree, so management is a big key. But yeah, we'll go there. So that's what's for me. No plays, just a round robin as far as right now. So for officially. All right, you guys. I got the homies up in here, and you guys talking about this fight. So I'll get to this real quick. Ghost Phantom. I love Miguel Class meme where he puts the 3 stances career. Oh, that was the tweet of the week. Fucking dude, that was the tweet of the week for sure. Like as much as I hopefully you guys like that Eric Turner OSP one where it was like the ground is energy, use it. The ground is energy, use it. Hopefully that. But no, you guys like that? But no. The tweet of the week was fucking Miguel Class's choose your Rountree. That's fucking great shout. Rios and Truesdale. Will Alex Pereira's body jab be a factor in this matchup? A body jab influenced by shamanic deities, according to Yuri and Izzy. Look at that. You're mixing comedy and real analysis. This is what I love about my chat. Like, how many times does this happen where, like, I didn't see that and you guys didn't before I talked, right? Not that matters, but more importantly, to your perspective and to give you guys credit, is that you didn't know what I was going to say before you typed that into the chat, and yet we ended up in the same place. How many times does that happen? Whether it was me and Rio, me and James, Ghost, any of you guys. You guys are so much, yours are so sharp in there. You guys are so sharp. So proud of you, chat. Jimmy Kudo, have we seen Khalil handle methodical pressure that Poatan likes to use, the slow cook pressure when he's slowly moving forward? Yeah, he doesn't do well with that. And that's one of the things is most people are kind of, and understandably, afraid. I'm not saying, oh, he's scared. Like, no. Like, understandably, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. They get intimidated. Maybe that's a better word, right? And even though Pereira's pressure that you speak of isn't as consistent as perhaps me or others would like it to be, it does come in conjunction with something generally, and that's his jab. So again, if he's jabbing, it probably means he's doing a lot of the other things he needs to be doing as well. That plays into the overarching win conditions for Pereira or anybody facing Rountree, right? Pressure, suffocate, and extend, right? More of a rudimentary example, was it Rory McDonald versus Tyron Woodley? I haven't referenced this fight in a while, right? But that was another thing, which maybe seems more obvious now, but before it was so obvious that Tyron was a low output fighter that actually could be cowed. I remember, I believe it was Rory McDonald, correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Remember, he had a pretty standout performance with his jab when he was really kind of, standing out with his jab and that little streak there. But it was that same principle where even Rory is not as ferocious or high output or someone you would maybe call a pressure fighter. Being disciplined with that kind of slow, steady, slow cook pressure with the jab, it really does a lot. James Kendrick, I remember Miguel Class also pointed out that Alex uses the body jab against the southpaw like Jamal Hill. Oh, did he? I didn't see that. I'm sure he did. But yeah, he does. Brad Taschuk, I don't watch as much as I used to because MMA stinks now, and I barely pay attention to it, but appreciate all the breakdowns and laughs over the years, Dan. See you in Vegas next time in Vegas. My man, Brad, I saw you message me, man. I'm going to try to get back. I'm a bit behind, but Brad, just like I told Wes, who's going to be down here too, you guys know, man, we're going to be staying in contact, man, and anytime we're in the same state or country, I should say, we'll be getting together again, man. You're a real one, Brad, and I can't thank you guys enough. Hopefully for continuing, because now you guys are probably going to be one of the few MMA podcasts I listen to, Brad. So I'm going back to being a fan again. Just like the old fucking rat shit in Calcutta and Hans Stringer days. It's gonna be back like it's gonna be back like I'm 2014 listening to the MMA analysis again, Bradley. How about that for a fucking callback, huh? Rat shit in Calcutta. Synchro Wing, I don't have the best analytical mind, but do you think Alex Pineda's vulnerability to body kicks is because of the way he holds his hands? Like a window where guys think his straight is open? A bit. I just think it's like one of those things, like everyone talks about tall guy defense, shout out to the MMA analysis podcast, where like the head's up in the air, like a tether ball, which isn't not true, right? However, something I always mention with the tall guy defense is the body kicks are open as well, you know? We like to think of all the positives of a long frame and oogle and ogle, of reach advantages and height. But life, and much less MMA, or MMA, much less life, is a two-way street, folks. So for every advantages, there are disadvantages. And you can have a long torso as well. You can have that old long body. Makato Goku, how crazy is it going to be if Khalil wins? That means Syndicate MMA has 3 belts. Marab, Khalil, Whaley, more of an affiliate. Yeah, it's more of an affiliate, but that's another thing too. Is like I don't know. I usually don't speak like this. It doesn't mean anything. It's woo talk. But yeah, I could totally see Monday morning where you're trying to imagine some crazy outcome and you weigh, okay, how crazy would that really be if it happened? And it really wouldn't be that crazy, you know? That, you know, come Monday, Ariel Helwani and all the shows are like doing the thing where they're kissing ass to the most recent coach, like, no one's been giving you props, but let's bring you on the show. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like doing that to John Wood, and then talking about Khalil, then we have the rematch. Magomed gets fucked over, and that joke continues. You know what I'm saying? Like, the UFC has all these like champions that you wouldn't expected, from Khalil, Marab, fucking Rocky Pennington, which we'll get to in a second here, right? Like, it would all kind of be perfect in a weird way. Joe Z, I appreciate you. Joe Zagaki, I hope I pronounced that right. I appreciate your love. Wes Colvin, of course, true UK fan. A little late, but need some of the last episode live, my brother. No weed and wine like my favorite recaps back in the day, Wesley. But, dude, you know I'm always happy to have you here, and I'll be bothering you, my friend. Alex is good front kicks, says Ghost Phantom. He says, as shown in the second fight, Yuri, how does that mesh with his game? Because it's a long weapon, but his left hook is a short weapon. Front kick will be interesting. Kicks are going to be a little dangerous, but then again, Poatan almost wants you to counter. That's the dangerous fold here too. Is just like I talk about dangerous to kick because Khalil is hard wiring to kicks. That's very true. But as you see from his kickboxing knockout to the Brazilian and the southpaw sample to other ones, and even with his leg kick, you know, everyone talks about the weird gait. I love my striking coach, man. I'm like, you know, if I could have my choice, I would try to be imitating Poatan anyways, because I'm a fucking nerd and I'm a fan of his style. And my coach is really having me teach me how to really wing the leg kicks and get the tie hips and break the karate hips, right? But now we're almost winding it back to where now we're minimizing the hips again, at least for the leg kicks, so you don't have a lot of tell for the counters. And I actually have a decent snap that way, both for my step ups and just, you know, same stance leg kicks like Poatan style. But something I described in my breakdown is part of the reason, not just for harder to counter, harder to see coming, but it keeps him closer to a planted stance to where he can come back and sit and trap into his left hook and counterbalance with it, right? So if it's right leg kick, left hook is the counterbalance, right? Right body kick, left hook counterbalance. Right head kick, left hook counterbalance. Because he almost wants you to come in like how Khalil would come in and counter off the kick. And he's got the left hook right there because he's got the quick speed and proprioception. And that is something, too, is because they are both middleweights, even though they have different styles and different statures. Poatan is one of the few in the division who can hold a candle to Khalil's speed and power. So, you know, again, that's another reason why I'm obviously officially siding with Poatan. I got some clips to load up later, but I want to get through these fights. We got next fight. We got Raquel Pennington minus 170, Juliana Pena plus 142. Yeah, again, folks. Basically, I'm going to go with Pennington here. I know I of course, you know, we'll get to Aldo and Martinez, like, you know, which is even worse, of course, and really less/no excuses for, granted. But of course, one of the few times, you know how it is, folks. Whenever I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go and bet the young person, I'm gonna fade the unpopular person, I'm gonna bet the chalk, I'm gonna do all three. How could it go wrong if I'm leaning into the MMA gambling thing? Of course, it goes wrong, folks. We know how it is. Remember, I know I always lose everything, so it feels silly to say this, but remember when I said whenever I pick someone to win in round one, it's like the biggest jinx. And look at what Benoit Saint Denis almost got finished in round one. To my point, right there. But yeah, of course, I picked Mayra Bueno Silva against Pennington, and I had good reasons to. And in fact, whether you want to believe Bueno Silva's excuses of getting injured or whatever in round two, and for her fighting completely stupid, by the way, right, for the rest of the fight, or to whatever degree you want to believe that, or in between. My stylistic reads were there in the very first, not just first round, but in the first minute, with again, it's people who can kick, because Rocky is a boxing centric fighter, even though she's very underrated for her boxing. She lacks a lot of range weapons, and again, is very boxing centric with a lot of crouches, a lot of heavy dips, a lot of jabs, which means you're probably going to be more prone to both leg kicks off the lead leg for your weighted stance for your lead hand, if you're an active lead hand boxer, right? And then if you have the crouch, you're going to be crouching into the body kicks and the head kicks naturally. So she's got that archetype, right? And Shitara could kick well from both stances. And then the front chokes, which mean usually you have good defense if you have good offense, because, again, Pennington has underrated front chokes. Hold that note. And Pennington also good in the clinch and grappling, and her path to victory was going to ultimately be what it looked like, grinding Shitara out. And I thought that mixed with the franticness and damage that she could do at range with the kicks, that she'd be able to catch her on the inside as well, kind of like with Holm, via the front choke. Obviously, it didn't happen. But putting that aside, if you go look at the record, both how I speak about Pennington, my picks, and how I played her, she's done actually really, really well for me, folks. It's always been slight underdog odds because, again, it's it's disrespect, but it's not like major disrespect, right? Like, she's the favorite here. It's nice to see. She's the champion, but you can still argue Pennington is one of the most underrated fighters in the division, and she's the fucking champ, which is crazy, right? So yeah, I like Pennington in this spot because I like Pennington, sure. Well, Dan, you also really much dislike Juliana Pena. How much of it is that bias? Absolutely. They're all very fair things to ask, and I definitely ask myself these because you guys know I might not be good at these picks and plays, but I am good about being honest with myself at least. Being upfront and acknowledging these things at the very least. And yeah, even that aside, Juliana Pena does not have, her improvements have come in like counters, combinations, and jabs, like punches, right? Punches have always been kind of the means to an end to close distance and make things ugly. She is not a kicker, right? She does have, including going back to her amateur career as well, and exhibition fights, all that all together, she does have 2 guillotine chokes. The rest of Pena's submissions are all by RNC, like essentially just wearing out, ground and pounding, forcing passing positions, making it ugly, right? She's not really doing a lot of finesse catches, and if you look at who the guillotines were scored against, again, not against notable names, right? So she doesn't have a lot of the things. The only thing she really does have is, you could say, maybe is physicality and wrestling. But at this point in their careers, you could argue that Pennington is just as good, if not maybe even a better wrestler. Especially because Pena has traditionally done all of her effective work, most of her effective takedowns scored from the clinch, which is where Pennington thrives in. Again, this is where it gets tricky because both these fighters, you got the speed and power, despite 2 different fighters in the main event in the division, and despite 2 different fighters in the co-main event, what you essentially have is the most grittiest fighters, not just right now, but maybe at any point in women's bantamweight history. Is there any more grittier fighters, clinch, make it ugly fighters to differing degrees and different styles than Pennington and Pena? That's it. And Pennington, I know she had to dig out some tight, close ones, which I was glad to be on the right end of, though I don't think it was controversial. But they were close, competitive fights, like against Ketlin Vieira, right? and whatnot, but she can dig these out against more skilled girls. And outside of some frustrating fights when she was still both learning, because she was kind of that late bloomer. You look at the major accidents she both had in the beginning of her MMA career, and then in the middle, and not just in the middle, but an untimely in the middle when she got her first title shot. She was having to come back from like you see a divot in her leg still, like her leg. She almost lost her fucking leg in like some ATV accident. Like it took a while for her body to recover. Like you can physically see the leg fucked up, even more so in that fight, before the leg kicks even land, by the way. And, which again, kicker, right? And again, Juliana Pena, not the biggest kicker unless she randomly learns how to do that after, momming it up. I know both are mothers, but Pena, had to give birth, which is relevant as far as, body recovery and this and that. I know she's still going to come in all looking goofy with her fucking shirt. Like, she just looks so fucking goofy. God, she looks so fucking goofy, Juliana Pena. Her fighting in her shirt and her fucking high waist pants, like it's just like she's like it's like the hot chick trying to dress up like a nerd kind of energy, but she's not trying to do that. It's just how she wears her clothes, I guess. Anyways, but yeah, like I don't see her creating those same problems. And then you look at it, okay, it's a 5-round fight, it's elevation. Well, can she make it ugly against Pennington? And at least even just make it, even if she can't tire Pennington, can she at least match an output? And I really don't think so. Not just because the counters, both the grappling counters, better clinch striking, submission counters, go in conjunction with defense, having a natural, again, body, uppercut, hook, return game. She's going to be countering her all day with the porous defense, and those counters are probably going to get through. And then you also got to say, like, well, even though I can't remember Pena necessarily getting tired, let's look at elevation. Who trains at elevation? It's Pennington, not Pena. And Pena didn't come early to acclimate, and she doesn't train at elevation. And when you look further, when she has fought in elevation, whether it was in the UFC at Denver, Valentina Shevchenko, she lost. I don't think she came out early for that one, too. Not that had to do with cardio. That was like an early round 1 or round 2 armbar. And then you go before that in her career, you got to go to the regionals in Orem, Utah, which, by the way, Orem, not as high of elevation, folks. Salt Lake is like really north. I believe Orem is like a town or two below, a little more south. So I'm going to guess maybe the elevation even lower. And that was at 125, granted. It wasn't against a UFC level fighter, but it was against Deanna Bennett, who has plenty of regional experience in Invicta, Bellator, against UFC level fighters. More than adequate sample size. And, she lost that fight too. I know she had a story where she was like, well, it was at 125. It was early in her career. I guess she took it a bit on short notice, and it was chaotic. And the reason why she admit to that, because she was saying it as a positive for the reason why she didn't come up late and why she's confident this time around, is because of this amateur fight where she lost to Deanna Bennett years ago in Orem, Utah. Because she went the decision. Even though she lost, she's like, I went the decision, and it was, 125. It was last minute. So if I can do that, like, that's where she's drawing her confidence here, folks, right? And I'm guessing it was the more sick jitsu side, because it sounds more like a, what's his name? The guy that says blocking body shots or leg kicks are for pussies or something. It's just pain or whatever. That guy, because John Addix, one of the coaches, said, elevation is just in your head. And I'm like, I know if you were wanting to tape way back, and I've remedied this, I've called myself out, and I've given credit where credit's due. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I've been not very fair to Mike Valley, and after seeing him more, both what he does as well as listening to interviews and stuff too as well, much more respect for Mike Valley up here, man. I really, really came around on that guy, and it does not sound like something that Mike Valley would say. He sounds like too smart of a guy to say that. So I'm gonna guess it's another coach. We'll just say that, right? But yeah, that doesn't bode very, very well. 0-2 at elevation basically. And now you're coming in again, just kind of resting on your laurels. You're only getting older. You only, it's probably your last shot. You probably shouldn't even deserve this shot anyways. Like, yeah, I took Pennington. I was going to parlay her, but I ended up getting a line dip at minus 156. I know, I actually get like all these decent lines. It's too bad my bets never cash, right? But like, yeah, so at that point, I'm like, you know what? Fuck the parlays. I talked myself out of parlays for this fight. I'm like, let me just give me Pennington 1.56 units for 1 unit. So that's it. I just kicked for coverage, and I'm gonna put Pennington by sub. in the round robin. That's what I'm going to do for that. Maybe if I get like a crazy number, maybe I'll sprinkle a little bit on it, on the table or something, or maybe as a prop. I don't know. I still have a little bit of wiggle room of what I've capped myself off at my usual limits or whatever. For what that's worth. But yeah, I'm going Pennington by submission in round 3 is the official pick. But a decision wouldn't surprise me. So I kicked for coverage. I will recap this one, and then I'm going to blow through the rest of these pretty fast, as fast as I can, because I see some really good stuff in there in here. Joe Z, smacking the weed pen in honor of the last episode. Oh, my brother hit one for me. I may have some adult contraption around here somewhere, but they're all probably in other rooms, so light up for me. Rios and Truesdale, will Pena rediscover the dipping jab where elbows are flared like she's rowing a boat? Yeah, it's awkward, but she could probably, hit Pennington a couple times from it. But I think Pennington actually, again, counters in combination and can extend exchanges, which is something that even Nunes doesn't necessarily do. So I don't think it's going to work as well, oddly enough here. Ghost Phantom breakdowns. The only read I have in this fight was the far side Kimura from bottom half that Juliana Pena used against Nunes in the first fight. Oh, yeah, that's right. Nunes in the first fight. She used it to get up. Not as good as the underhook get up. It's riskier. I mean, if it's one of those things like I know Caro's been making the rounds, I feel like, but Caro loved using figure four, a double wrist locks, Kimura grips to get up, a la Sakuraba style, right? So it's more of a personal preference. It definitely can be risky for sure, especially if you have someone who knows to slam to the Kimura side. But I don't know, because Juliana Pena, otherwise, the main tactic I noticed that she liked to use is more like butterfly get-ups, which I'm a big fan of. Not that those can't be beat, like we saw Moicano do, obviously. But, yeah, I'm just glad that she has multiple options from there. I just, I don't know if it'll be that much of a difference maker, for this fight. Synchro Wing, this fight is something I don't care about, but what do you think of people saying that whoever wins between Pena and Pennington is chum bucket foot for Harrison? Fair. I think it's kind of disrespectful. I mean, dude, we'll get to that fight, but if Harrison were to lose or just even lose a lackluster decision, would any of us really be that surprised? So yeah, Harrison's got to fight in front of her first. So I feel you for bringing that up. Fenyo, watch out for Pennington's guillotine if this goes long. Yep, absolutely. Fenyo knows what's up. Oh, I did play a little bit of. I think I'm like 3 or 4 fights in Fenyo. And we both had the same call on Means, too, in the same round, too. That's going to be fun, too. I do this anyways, obviously, but I always like, returning as a fan, whenever people I respect is on the same something as me, I get excited, Like, hopefully maybe you guys do. Or at this point, maybe you don't, I should say. If I'm on the same thing as you, you're like, oh, fuck, abort, abandon ship. But you know what I mean? That's the whole fun of it, no matter what side you're on. Rain Lamina, Pena getting subbed by GDR is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Absolutely. I can't say that's not burnt into my head. Pena says she has a nasty grip with the wrist and the neck. Easy reversals for bad shots. Yep, absolutely. And even though Pena's got a hell of a chin, she can be rocked, though, right? And that's going to force her to grappling. So that's where I see it happening, club and sub style. James Kendrick, we have a lot of mom champs now. Speaking of mom champs, how funny was Jack Slack putting up all the Waterson missed kicks after she retired? People got mad. Was the anger that justified? Like, no, I'm angry that I missed it. How'd I miss this? Holy shit, mom champ, yeah. Oh, man. Rain Lama, do you remember when Juliana peed up that dude in a bar? His name was IP Freely. That's hilarious. I remember that story. Oh, this guy over here. Look at this. Hey, Trotman gracing it. Look at that. The haters have come. He's probably the guy who disliked it. Hey, you know what, Trotman? Welcome to the show, buddy. Welcome to the show. All right, we got next fight. Mario Bautista, minus 148. Jose Aldo, plus 124. This fight, apologies Jose Aldo bettors, but I'm all the analysts are gonna hate me. I'm going to be backing Jose Aldo Jr. Here, and I've already got a plan on. That's right. I know Mario Bautista, a big fan of his. I like his progression. His last fight with Ricky Simon, Bato. There's another one you guys are probably gonna miss there. Yeah, man. I like Aldo here. I know part of this is me probably coping because I was dumb and I picked the younger guy to get him last time. And he comes out to fight. He just totally comes out and like proved all those post USADA talking points. That was the thing before it, right? Like, man, that oh god. Oh, did I feel stupid on that one? And even if I don't miss this one, at least I won't feel as stupid. If I'm wrong about this one, I only put a unit on it. I got it at plus 125, so not bad. What did I miss? 5 cents on the opener. It's okay. I got 10 cents up on the next dog that I'm on. Hint, hint. But yeah, I put a unit on Jose Aldo. A lot of great analysis on Jose Aldo. You guys know what he does best. But yeah, I mean, if Trevin Giles' counters was able to not just stop Bautista, but shake him up visibly on some shots, and then force him into takedowns and having to work from the clinch, I think I think Aldo can at least force a Marab like fight out best, where he might get gypped on the scorecards, but even in that kind of fight, I still think even the fight that he can lose, and he has sadly lost, maybe when he shouldn't have before, that's obviously, the path and process I see to a loss here if he does do it. But again, even in that fight, he should still win, and I can see him winning, right? But that being said, be much more comfortable with it going out of the judges' hands. I think Bautista will be fine for 3 rounds, but I don't think he's ever been scheduled even on these Denver cards, much less the Utah cards before. And if you notice on at least these top 3 fights, not just with the analysis, but it doesn't hurt that it goes with the analysis, but I'm picking the fighters that are more familiar with elevation, whether they live and train at elevation or they have fought at elevation / this very state, this very elevation, this very venue before. And that is Jose Aldo as well. He fits that group, right? Does it mean they're going to win? Like, of course not. But yeah, it is a checkbox in the side. So going with Aldo. Apologies, guys, for that. This is so hilarious, by the way. Like, I love it. I got people like that don't like each other that are like all like being friendly in the chat. I got people that don't like me that are like showing up in the chat, which is great because it means you've subscribed and I don't know, not that it matters, but this channel stayed up, so whatever, I'll take it. The fact that man, I think I haven't seen the I think if it's the same Trotman guy, I think that's the guy from that was talking all the shit from last year when I donated. Speaking of donating the winnings and that like issue I had nothing to do with. Yeah, I don't know if that guy had such a hard on for me. So, yeah, man. Hopefully you're not as mad, bro, at whatever my shortcomings upset you so much as to be a hater. And yeah, man, that's kind of weird. You're in here. Like, I've been following me this whole time, buddy, and just like showing up to waiting for my demise, even though I'm still around in the space, and even with this failure, I've still accomplished more than yourself, and have more respect in the space than you get. But hey, man, thanks for coming, and that's pretty man up of you to be able to come subscribe to my show and jump in here or whatever. You're welcome to stay, by the way. Don't kick out the Trotman guy. I know he's been a real asshole before, but man, it's all love, man. I appreciate everybody stopping by, man. I'm not holding grudges. Again, I got more important things to do in life, which is why I'm not doing this show. And you time Trotman out. Oh, okay, that's okay. Well, at least he was able to, hey, man, that kind of says a lot about him, right? Doesn't it not? Like the fact that, yeah, if you hate on, yeah, he is a bum. He is. If you hate on. Yeah, he is. Trotman is a pretty sad dude. The sad part is he's probably like happy right now and like quote tweeting, which is good. I hope he is, because, dude, you're just showing your ass at that point. Like, so you were wrong about mischaracterizing somebody, just because you didn't like him, which is fine. You don't have to like me, but like, and you're gonna carry it for that long, brother, and show up here. That's fucking. I'm sorry. I'm almost speechless because it's just like, I'm not going to lie, it makes me happy because it just kind of qualifies as much of a loser as I am. Like, it's rare that I get to see somebody and be like, holy fuck, dude, that's a fucking loser right there. Like, this person already outed themselves as a loser for their loser attitude, like, from a year ago. And then they, even though they had no reason for it, they could have said that they won, have even more reasons to be like they can take like some petty victories even though they have nothing to do with it. And again, I still have outdone them in this space, still get hotter chicks, can fuck better than them, can fight better than them, and can out-talk them, and they would never sign up for any of that because they're hide behind Avies. Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah, man. I'm so, that is one thing I'm not going to miss. Because whether you deal with them or not, these are the biggest cowards, man. They, they can hold on to a grudge for over a year, apparently, for no reason. But can they man up, address facts, or talk to you? No. Fucking pieces of shit. And again, he's probably he's one of those people too where it would just be funny, man. It would be funny, like I'm not even a sick pervert, but like I would literally like choke a dude like that unconscious and then like record myself pulling my dick out and just pissing all over him. just because it would just ruin them, right? It would ruin them for like a nerd that they didn't think could fight and like man up and just, I love it. I fucking love it. But yeah, you won't ever have to hear about those fuckers again, I guess. Or they don't have to worry about me at least, because I'm out of this bitch, and these fuckers are cowards anyways. And nor will he last as long, because like anybody who's like afraid to even like show their face, like, yeah, they're not gonna last. They're not gonna last long. Like, that's what I always love too, like people on the internet like making different accounts. Like, bro, like I can't beat you up from here. Like, you're fine. You don't, like, we could talk. You could show who you are. Oh, the biggest, I mean, show us your dick size without showing us your dick size. Caitlin Vieira plus 675, Kayla Harrison minus 1050. So I just did tape on this one. I'm writing up a feature for Action, which I'm going to knock out after this, after I get done with the editing and all that stuff. But yeah, man, like, I got Harrison on this one, but the odds are out of hand. I think she's going to have too much initiative. You know, Vieira, she's technically 2-0 against Southpaws, Kat Zingano and Holly Holm. I know those were aging out veterans, so I don't know how much you take from that. But even without those aside, left-sided strikes seem to be the common culprit for Ketlin Vieira. That being said, counter right hands, surprise, surprise, open stance, are the common culprit the other way for Kayla Harrison. So there are going to be stuff each way. But unless Caitlin Vieira is both on, because she can be not really consistent, she can kind of be half asleep out there, which is why I have a hard time being confident picking her. And even though she has gotten better at staying active with ground striking, she's still not, like, you know, she can still be hit with elbows. She can still give away moments. It's not game over, right? So I think that Harrison's going to have a lot of the initiative, but I don't think she's going to be able to submit Vieira. And unless it's like some random perfect shot, I don't think she's going to be able to get her out of there. So I think that this, no matter who wins, is going to a decision. So I think the over is the best play. And it opened at like, what? It opened at like over 2.5. I think it opened at minus 150 or something. What did it open at? Minus 163. You can find it for cheaper to get, you know, some or whatever you want to count it as. But I actually found it at minus 145, which is definitely in the playable chalk for me as far as that goes. And the options I thought I was going to have to work with. So I said, you know what? With me wanting to put my money where my mouth is, you know, let's take another chalky thing here to balance it out a bit. So I got Harrison Vieira over 2.5, minus 145, 1.145 units on. So, yeah. That is that. Then opening the card, which is a stupid opener. We've got Kevin Holland minus 148, Roman Dolidze plus 124. Basically, these are two wild people who you shouldn't be betting on, so this should be a stay away. But that being said, I do think that even though the spread is right, I do think that the wrong person's favored. Holland is not dependable. He is not consistent. He never has been, which is why those welterweight odds, which I told you were going to catch up and eventually did, catch up for him at chalk. But especially at middleweight, where he's even more inconsistent, even more outsized, and even more likely to be out-grappled, which Dolidze, though he can fall in love with his clinch striking, can do. Hard to pick a route because I could honestly see Dolidze knock out, submit, or beat Holland in a weird decision, which the latter is the most likely. So I'm going to kick for coverage, and because I just think there's just, even though it's a stupid fight, and no matter what, coming from a stupid person, it's endearing, folks, but either way, you're betting on a stupid person. Well, give me the stupid plus money on a person that probably shouldn't be plus money and has more ways to win this fight. Dolidze is tough as hell, has never been stopped. And Holland, again, not a reliable decision guy. Even those juiced odds at welterweight, which this is not, even then, not the most reliable process for a decision. You were pretty much betting on a finish there, right? So yeah, man, I'm pretty confident. Even though, I would probably put like 2 units if I was like rolling big, and I'd be playing everything bigger at that point. But yeah, just keeping it to 1 unit there. So we got 2 dog shots, Dolidze and Aldo for a unit, and then we've got 2 chalks that are a little higher on prices, right around the minus 150 range, and we're paying that amount to get 1 unit back. So ideally here, we just need 2 things to go through. Ideally, at least 1 chalk being one of those 2 things, and we should be able to profit, / at least be in the black for those plays. There's more, though. But wait, there's more. Joaquin Buckley, minus 225. Steven Wonderboy Thompson, plus 185. I'm probably going to pick Thompson here because I'm super biased. By the way, Thompson's record, he's 2-1 against UFC level southpaws, but he could be 3-0 if you score that Darren Till fight for him, which it's hard to cry over that fight because it was a bad fight. It was a close fight. It was a competitive fight. And the person who wins the most emphatic round is Darren Till, obviously with the 5th round knockdown. But it was also arguably bad scorecards too, where it's like you could have argued 3 or 4 rounds. The other 3, you could literally argue the other 3 or 4 rounds to Thompson. So not that would matter either way for this fight, especially because Buckley is probably going to take the path of least resistance and try to take him down. But it is the big octagon. Buckley is not game over. Buckley can be caught. And maybe I just want to dream in Soggy Dick Special land or Karate Man land. But so I'm probably going to pick Thompson here, but I'm also being realistic, which means I've not played him, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get there to play him in any sort of way. Probably just avoid this fight. Marina Rodriguez, plus 164. Yasmin Lucindo, minus 198. Again, I like Rodriguez. Like, she jumps out at me, but I don't think I'm going to play her. And I don't know if I'm going to pick her either because I heard my guy Fenyo mentioning on the full preview podcast, which you should go listen and subscribe to and support Fenyo. Make sure you're supporting him. You use him to help get your fix from me if you like me, folks. He was saying she was looking shaky, and I completely agree. She's been looking really shaky in recent fights. You got the whole age thing and this and that. So Rodriguez, maybe I'll probably pick her on Toutmaster. I don't know if I'll pick her outright, and if I do, I definitely don't know if I'm going to make it to playing her. I may still end up picking Lucindo and then just putting Rodriguez on my Toutmaster. Austin Hubbard, plus 136. Alexander Hernandez, minus 162. Kind of surprised at this line. I feel like should be a little closer, and Hernandez would definitely be the more popular fighter. He actually opened at minus 215. But it just feels like this is like a classic, like we're picking the guy with the cooler style because Hubbard just has that style that you constantly kind of underestimate. And because of that, or at least my feelings / that statement is going to have me counterbalancing the steering wheel, perhaps overcorrecting and going away from who I want to pick, which is Hernandez. And I'm actually going to pick Austin Hubbard, probably by decision. I don't know if that's locked in yet. We've got Ihor Peteria, guys. Throw the cans. Throw the cans. Hey, this guy's a legacy. We got Ihor Peteria plus 295. Cesar Almeida minus 375. Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Almeida here, but as much as we don't like Porteria, this does feel like a weird matchup because, again, you got the kickboxer against the unorthodox southpaw, right? It's like the poor man's main event, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, Fanyo. There's about to be duel, the duelist. Yeah, I can't call him Ihor Peteria. I have to call him the duelist. I love when Feño breaks him down because he just calls him by duelist repeatedly. He goes, duelist likes to, like, he totally says it like he's taking it seriously, which is fucking hilarious. But yeah, I'm going to pick Cesar Almeida by a round 2 knockout. But I think I'm going to be avoiding that fight, though. I don't know. Probably. Here's a fight that I want to have some action on. We got Ovince St. Preux, OFP, Tennessee, plus 200. Ryan Spann, minus 245. Yeah. I don't get this fight. I want to play the OSP side. I'm picking OSP. Could he get smashed? Possibly, you know. By the way, Almeida 0-1 against UFC level southpaws, lost that split to Roman Kopylov. Ryan Spann 4-1 against UFC level southpaws. Of course, you know, he's beaten like Alvi, Little Nog, Misha Serkinov, Dominic Reyes. I think that was a jab with Reyes. And then, of course, his lone loss is Carl Roberson on that weird, like, clinch elbow or whatever on the Contender Series. So he's got a winning record against southpaws. OSP kind of did his own version of the Jose Aldo turn back the clock last time out against a teammate of Ryan Spann, Kennedy Nchukwu. Yeah, OSP's got the big cage. Spann. I actually don't like the big cage for Spann because Spann is a fighter who lives and dies with chaos. So the small cage is both good and bad for him. Whereas the big cage, I think, is bad for him because it's just, you know, I know he beat like Dominic Reyes, southpaw in the big cage, but that was a weird fight. And Dominic Reyes has been on a skid. And not that OSP can't, you know, have weird randomly go out every once in a while too. He's definitely shown that throughout his career sporadically. Rare, big, strong, durable, but still could happen. But if it doesn't, man, there's just too many things that could go wrong for Spann. I cannot trust Spann. And OSP is a dog, and he's dog money. I want to put him in my round robin, but I don't know if I can justify it. I still might, even though I like to do the rule where, like, whether it's a 4 or 5 leg round robin, 2 have to come through to cash. And by the way, round robin came through last week. Where were the haters then? Sorry. They only, as you guys just saw, they only come through. They only come through when you're down. Not that I suggest wasting time, but that being said, you know, if you guys are upset that I'm leaving, you guys can go take it out on like the Trotmans of the world and go fuck up their shit and, you know, tell them what little dick energy they have. Like, more than free, I believe it's like Trotman boxing. You guys go fuck with that, dude. There we go. That's my parting gift to that fucker. And all the rest of the haters and all the South African, nothing wrong with South African people, but all the South African flag people always sending racist shit in my DMs. Not going to miss that either. We got Tisha Pennington, who should be 2-0 in her last 2 fights, minus 175. Carlos Esparza, plus 145. So, yeah, I like Tisha Pennington here. I know she lost the first fight. It was on tough, though, granted. I just like where they've kind of come from, you know, how they've been progressing. And I've been a Carlos Esparza defender, by the way. I'm not someone who underrates her at any means. She's actually done well for me, Esparza. But, you know, I'm also a big fan of Pennington, who hasn't done as well for me, but that's not her fault. It's the judge's fault on that one. I mean, my God. The booty burglars. I mean, she's been fighting booty burglars, you know what I'm saying? Esparza, as much as I like Esparza, she's not a booty burglar. And speaking of size, this is going to be one of the few fighters that Tisha Pennington will have good size with. And as we've seen, unless it's like Jessica Andrade, which was, you know, deceptively competitive, by the way. But, like, you know, she usually actually, you know, does well when she's, like, gifted those rare opportunities with someone her size. You know what I'm saying? So I actually like this. I wanted to parlay Tisha Pennington. I was thinking about doing a Pennington parlay just for fun, you know. And I could probably give it some offensive lesbianic name, which I'm not going to do because I didn't make it, and I would try not to do that anyways. I'm sure you guys could think of some of your own. You know, I was thinking of maybe her parlaying her with the first fighter on the card, who I also want action on. But pretty much in short, any of the fighters that I thought about parlaying Pennington with, I thought of better plays, standalone plays for those fighters alone. And as much as I love Pennington, perhaps it's the PTSD. And can you blame me, whether it's her sample alone or my sample in general, for having a little PTSD? But yeah, man. As of right now, I ended up being gun shy despite wanting to back her, right? Because there's not really a lot of meat on the bone. They're still giving her respect as a favorite, despite the losses recently and previously to Esparza. Even though none of those really have context for the reasons I said. But yeah, so the pick's going to be Pennington. And if I do have a parlay, yeah, it'll definitely have Pennington in it. Just because, I would want something on that fight because I'm sick like that. But no, the smarter part of me is, holding the fort for now. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we got Tim Means minus 192. Court McGee plus 160. Oh, by the way, you know what we should do too. By the way, because I'm gonna have more time now, and I didn't want to say anything about it, but your boy is trying to. I know because my health's been so bad, but I've been trying to for a couple years now get back in there. But I definitely want to have some kickboxing fights, Muay Thai fights, maybe even an amateur MMA fight if I can find the right opponent. And dude, Trotman, I'll go for you first, buddy. I'll give you first dibs. Pick a charity. Let's do it. Any rule set, especially if it's the trolls. I would literally go, if you guys want to do submission grappling, any rule set, no time limit. If anyone wants to do boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, open challenge. Because I don't want to fight Ben the Banes. I don't want to fight Oscar. I like these people too much. I've trained with a lot of these people. And yeah, man, but at the same time, as much as I love these people, and this is no shade to them, I'll say it, I can or have kicked these people's ass before. So it would be nice to remind people from my own ego that I've been throwing punches and kicks longer than most of these fuckers have been born, whether it's the fuckers in my replies or the fuckers I'm covering, and I say that fuckers endearingly, obviously, toward the fighters. And it would be nice to remind the masses of that, and remind why like the betting record doesn't matter for me, and why whatever sense of security these motherfuckers have behind their keyboard doesn't matter when they're getting their ass beat and they're having to answer real adversity in life from a sick motherfucker who's going to be smiling the whole time. Because I have a sick inclination for violence, and I need to get it out healthily, folks. So I am going to complete that off my bucket list. But I'm a genuine problem, and I actually have, by the way, trolls. Like, you guys think about it. You guys can. I'm a dorky Asian, yo. You guys hate me, yo. And I can, even though I'm a dorky, whatever. Like, I've got connections. I can get us on a karate combat show booked, folks. That's one of the places I want to fight, for example. So if you're a troll and you want to kick my ass, I suck. I'm a nerd. Please. Oh, I'm so vulnerable. Oh, did you guys... And this is real, by the way. I'm not kidding. Like, my wrists are bad. I've got all these injuries. Boy, this would be a good... I'm almost 40. Soggy Dick Special. Boy, if any of these trolls would want it, this would be a terrible time to fight me. Boy, I hope none of these trolls answer this challenge, guys, for charity, and let them pick the charity and rule set, and they can get free publicity for beating up an injured, nerdy, Asian, crappy bettor. Oh, no. You can prove how much of a man you are behind your keyboard and avatar. I mean, you would actually have to get out from that keyboard, train, use your name, put your face on camera, things that me and many do all the time, who you all call weak. But you guys are big, strong, awesome chads. I'm just a lowly, dorky Asian. Oh my God. Oh, I play this up because it's that much more embarrassing when I fucking essentially metaphorically slap them in the face with my cock. But yeah, open challenge, motherfuckers. Again, I'm still going to be making more money off the space than any of y'all do who actually don't work for the space. Y'all scam others. Not talking to my listeners, of course, the bullshit touts. Not the good ones, by the way. I've had some actual touts reach out to me, giving me respect and saying they understand, because they do understand. In the sense if they're being real, right? And shout out to y'all real ones. You know who you are. But you fake motherfuckers out there, come on. I'm so weak and vulnerable. I'm so weak and vulnerable. I'm turning 40 next year, folks. Open challenge. Fucking bring it. You guys can extend the challenge. If you see these motherfuckers chirping on the streets, since I won't be around, I won't be caring. You guys can feel free. And if anybody wants to, they know where I'm at, man. Y'all know how to reach me. People know where to find me. And I'll still be around, getting things done in the space, just not in the same way. Not quitting anything. Still making my plays, still accounting for them. And yeah, so it just, even at this hard time and these lows, shit, man, I still have a lot to look forward to, a lot to be grateful for. And again, even with these lows, I'm still beating these motherfuckers in and especially out of this space. And if they have something to say, come see me, motherfuckers. All right. Tim Means, minus 192. Court McGee, plus 160. I like Tim Means here. I was thinking about parlaying him with one of the Penningtons. And again, it just didn't make sense because, well, Raquel Pennington, we've already got a straight play on, so that takes her out. And Tisha Pennington, again, we're having to have to do a parlay, which is dangerous. Both these legs could be dangerous in its own way, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend, McGee or Esparza can't flip the script and, wrestle them. The wrestlers having an advantage in MMA. Like, how many times have we seen that before? I know the criteria and trends and more specific, the context of these matchups may not match up with that. But at the same time, I'm being real. I'm being fair to both sides there. And yeah, man, I will take Means here. And the reason why I won't parlay him is because you can get him inside the distance. And it's just funny, man. I'm getting limited again. Like, I've been doing shitty, but like some of the houses I'm playing at started limiting my props again. And I'm not even saying that to brag, folks, because again, that's happened to me before, and that's been I actually seldom bring that up because it's like to me it comes off as a humble brag. And I don't want to do that, but it is a real thing that I do deal with as well, even when I'm doing shitty as I am. So yeah, sorry, what was I saying there? I forget, but yeah, I'm going to take Means inside the distance. Oh, yeah, about the limiting thing. I got to do this on here. So they limited me. It sucked because I was going to get it for plus 220, and I only have one other house, and it's not as good. It's probably going to be what I have to do anyways for the round robin, but I think it's only plus 200. Let me see if I can still... Oof, what is it? Fuck it. You guys are going to make me do it, aren't you? God damn it. Okay, let me see. I'm thinking... I almost put... instead of 1 unit, I put 1.29. I know, it's a weird number. Because that made back exactly... That would pay off one of the favorites and one of the dogs. Whereas 1 unit at plus 200 just pays off... I say just. I mean, that would be great. Just pays off 2 of the dog shots, right? Because, again, I have 2 1-unit dog shots and 2 roughly 1.5 unit chalk plays. I'm on a total and a money line. So let's see what I can get for Tim Means here. This is what I was doing right before, and I was already late, so I was like, fuck it, I'll do it live, and then I'll add it here, just so you guys know. Although, I hate doing this, because it's like, the last one I did was stupid. Not only did it not hit, but it was also dumb. I'm like, why'd I bet Brendan Allen? You didn't have to do that, Dan. You could have just kept it to the over, and that's what cashed. That was your best bet. That's what you said was the best bet. Why didn't you stick to that, Dan? Let's see, 5-way. Let's go. Yeah, but if I see it, Jimmy Kudo, it'd be cool to see one of these trolls get their comeuppance. Yeah, by the way, if Trotman, he was a little bitch before, he actually snitch tag too. He tried to snitch tag USA Today, for me threatening him, which I wasn't even super threatening. What I said early in the podcast was way more threatening, so he's probably gonna try to file something or something, or post it like a little bitch he is. So if he does, make sure you guys clip my challenge. And anybody that talks shit, you just have the challenge clipped, and you can put that in the replies. Like, all right, do something about it. If you say this about Dan, you can't say it to his face. Why don't you do something about it? He's got this open challenge. Nah, these motherfuckers won't do it, man. Just like these bitches with road rage. No one ever wants to get out of the car. I know this because I have a sick temper sometimes. Yeah, anyways, plus 200, fuck. Let's see. Yeah, let's 100. So I just do one unit, and then that covers 2. It's not as sexy when it's plus, because then if I do 129 here, that's 387. That's pretty much. Bucket. We're going to 129. Means plus 200. For 200, you motherfuckers. I wanted that plus 220. And that wasn't even the best number even. But whatever. All right. That's that. All right. What do we do? 150. All right. Let's clean up the chat and we'll get out of here. Dan, you got rain laminated. IP freely. Yeah. That would look familiar. I got mode from The Simpsons again. I think you mean Damone Blackshear. Oh, what fight was I talking about for that one? Was that Bautista? Maybe the Bautista fight? Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking, or that as well. But I misspoke on that one probably. I had to rewind to see what I said. Sorry, Fenyo. Ghost Phantom, Phantom Punch breakdowns. How cool was Bautista using the Mario super jump over Ricky Simone's calf kick? Oh man, yeah. It reminded me of was it GSP BJ1 where like BJ lifts up the front leg and then George goes to kick the back leg and then BJ jumps over both those or whatever. I don't know why it gave me a flashback to that. Resistance Truesdale, Aldo uses a pivot, which doesn't work in MMA. Apparently, man, people are still getting upset. I'm sitting here wondering why, jealous losers who work in the gambling arena, which is full of sick people who, have really lost money, which is why, probably all these, assholes are mad because even before they just try to be a tout, they probably, my old ass has been around so long, they probably followed, a play way back in the day and, are still crying about it. I shouldn't be surprised about that when I'm seeing people in replies genuinely mad at Fenyo for saying, pushing foot on the hips works in MMA. What the fuck is wrong with people, man? Why are people so upset about some really basic shit that I don't really feel like is argument worthy? That time trauma out. Yeah, fuck that guy. If you hate on Dan Tom, you're a motherless bum. Yeah, you're describing those guys. How sad is your life? You take time out of your day to come waste your time hating on someone you don't like. Just leave them alone if you don't like them. Dude, again, these people's life are so miserable. This motherfucker's coming to this show that he doesn't even have any friends or a fan of. Jesus, buddy. How sad are you? Rhea says in Truesdale, obviously pivots work, but any analyst who puts a clip of someone pivoting in MMA gets fan base angry. It's so weird, dude. Yeah, Fenyo says, I think Sadiq got mad at my clip of Aldo pivoting under Martinez's spinning back fist. Why? What did Sadiq say? What the fuck? Fenyo, it's the cage shape and the gloves. I don't even want to know what kind of fucking reply that was. Jesus Christ, man. I'm so glad I stayed out of the pivoting discourse, That Sadiq QTing Fenyo was confusing to me. Was he mad about pivoting or is he joking? I couldn't tell. I gave it a like, then unliked it, then ended up RTing Fenyo. I think it is. I noticed Jack Slack has been quote tweeting our guy Fenyo like a motherfucker, which is awesome. But you guys, I've seen as well as heard from you guys how much bullshit Jack deals with. So I wonder if that's just Fenyo absorbing all that. I don't know. It's probably good Jack Slack doesn't retweet me. Jack Slack, the only posts he's liked of mine recently are when I'm doing bad at something. He'll sometimes like it. I'm like, all right, Jack. Okay. All right, but at least he retweets my guy Fenyo. Follow Fenyo, by the way, at FenyoXGuy, and share his shit, by the way. He's the fucking man. Joe Z, Court McGee versus Tim Means seems like an underrated fight. Yeah, I hope it is. I hope means wins, obviously. Not nothing against Court McGee. Hopefully comes out to Ohio. That classic rock song there. Really old school. Makes Court McGee seem even older. James Kendrick, Kevin Holland caught Buckley getting stuck in the mud when he slipped to the lead foot. Does Dolidze get stuck in the mud when he slips, or does he protect his weight transition as well? Dolidze can get stuck in the mud just because he just fights stupid, man. Sometimes he'll listen to Eric and he'll do southpaw, same side head kick, and but it's just like, as far as a process or anything reliable, like, no, man, I'm not. I know I'm picking and playing Dolidze, but I'm not gonna pretend, man. The dude is not reliable. If he came out and fought like he was stuck in the mud, would I be surprised? Sadly, no. Jun Karasu, has Rodriguez been washed ever since Lemos knocked her out in a weird stoppage? Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. That's something I kind of crossed my mind the last time I ran through the tape. And I admittedly haven't had time to go back through that. But that rings true with my previous notes, which was getting refreshed just listening to Fenyo talk about it, who I tend to agree with as well. Sammy Arnett, Ehor blows, the duelist. That's right. I would love the duelist to lose, James Kendrick. That's great. Jimmy Kudo, Ehor is so cringe. He's a 205er that I wish would lose. Yeah, you guys hate Ehor. It's great. Synchro Ling. Do you find it funny that Esparza went from co-main eventing to getting thrown back to the prelims? Not really. I don't try to, get too much laughs out of that because I don't find that as funny, and sadly it happens to fighters who we like a lot, So I try to keep that same energy for everybody. Makazu Kayagoku, is Tisha Pennington crucifix live in this fight, or is that a Josh Hinger special? Yeah, I think that's Josh Hinger Wei Lee combo there. I love me some Tisha Pennington. I don't know if she's got that in her arsenal. Good shot though. James Kendrick, I read Ghost scouting report. Support Ghost Phantom Punch breakdowns on Substack, by the way. I'm still gonna have my Substack, and Ghost is one of the people I recommend and follow there. You should too. On Esparza, he mentioned Tisha doesn't have the tools to move. Tisha doesn't have the tools to move Esparza back. Should we just skip this fight like Ghost said? Yeah, perhaps Ghost is right. Maybe that's why I ended up not playing it, right? Maybe we should listen to Ghost. I mean, there are a lot worse people you could listen to, obviously. Ghost is obviously one of the better people you can listen to, folks. Ghost Phantom says, booty burglars is such a great term. Please, make it live on. Anytime during, or especially when Ricci fights. Fenyo, you better, bro. You better keep some of this shit alive now that you've swap spit, for lack of a better term, with this show. You better keep some of this shit alive, bro. The fucking, none of my homies like Gomies and booty burglars. Fenyo, you especially. Rio says in Truesdale, Ghost went to the glue factory by watching all 25 of Esparza's fights to scout Zhang. Insane. Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I never had a profile on Rountree, believe it or not, because he's never had a main event. So that's why I went back and did an old school Dan Tom through the comb. Thankfully, that was less painful and much more short because there's not a lot of decisions as opposed to the WMMA catalogs. Sammy Arnett, Tim Means the Dirty Bird. Yeah, we love the Dirty Bird. Muhammad Odd Bruce Lee. Last Haradan, I'm all in. Ketlin. All right. I'll be rooting for you. And I think if she wins, we should both cash because I don't think Ketlin's going to be able to finish. If she wins, she's not going to be able to finish Kayla. So, hey, hopefully we both cash there. Rough and rowdy for the trolls. Yeah, you know me. I get passionate, and I'm not going to let them ruin the show. But at the same time, if they're going to have the audacity to show up after all this time on my last show, just to try to kick me while I'm down, well, I'm going to remind them who can kick them anytime they fucking want to because they're little bitches, and they can't do anything about it. And I'm still kicking their ass, even if they don't step up and show their face. Much less man up to my open challenge. Dan Tom versus Khalil Rountree. You want me to die, Joe? What the fuck's wrong with you, man? No way. I like my... Listen, Listen, even times where I've contemplated suicide in my life, I wouldn't go that way, all right? I'd be like, okay, even my depressed ass, there's better ways to go than that. No, thank you. We go... Jimmy Kudo, I really hope one of the bottom-feeding trolls accept the open challenge. You get made fun of for a betting record when the analysis is what matters. You'd think so, but again, these people are jealous. They don't have anything transparent. I think the dude might have even set his profile to private or something like that as well for a little bit when I responded back to him. But yeah, these guys are bitches, man. They're spineless fucking cowards. James Kendrick, Dan might be losing bets, but he doesn't spend $5,000 on Yan Zhao and then calling ghost of cancer to MMA like Jewish MMA better. Choke on this middle finger at MMA line mover. Yeah, fuck. I don't even know those guys, but fuck those guys. They fucking with my guy Ghost. Fuck those guys. They ain't friends with my homies. I ain't friends with them motherfuckers. I got your guys back. Ghost Phantom, speaking of which, says pivoting discourse was super weird, and this week I had a guy tell me that catching kicks involve luck. Jesus fucking Christ. The things that involve luck and don't, right? You know what I'm saying? When these motherfuckers clearly go on a lucky streak, they're like, oh, no, it's not luck. It's my smarts, right? But then, I could be on a losing streak catching every bad beat in the book, and none of these fuckers will give me any credit for even one of these, not even one of these bucks being bad. It's all because I suck, It's like, oh, okay. But catch them on a losing streak, and they'll be saying different things when they're about themselves. So watch that. Very few people keep the same energy. Ria Susan Truesdale says Tisha Pennington versus Mackenzie Dern is always a robbery. Keep that alive, folks. Keep that alive. Southpaw dipping to the power side. You guys know what it is. Keep it alive, man. Keep it alive. Remember who's been saying these things, Because you guys know that even though I'm going to be happy to not be dealing with a bunch of these assholes, I'm going to be talking to you guys. And the one thing that will drive me crazy is, whenever body work is the body working counter striker comes up short, or we're scheduled another rematch and people are wondering why rematches, just know that even though the podcast isn't here, Dan Tom will be somewhere going fucking crazy, screaming at everybody, I've been telling you guys for 10 years, but nobody listens to me, fuckers. Ah! Right? So take comfort. I'll be doing that. Rain Lamina, PYN has some of the best 90 references and sayings, even though I try to get him saying weird stuff. I appreciate everything he's done for the community. I appreciate you, Rain. You're the fucking man, bro. So, if I do upload videos, I hope to see you guys at least comment on them, just so I can see your guys' faces and avatars, because I'm already going to miss you guys. Lastly but not least, before I get out of here, goes Phantom. Gotta say, if this is the last comment, it's been a fun ride, my friend. I appreciate you. I'm going to leave this one up. While the last of you get your last comments in, and I recap and we get out of here. I didn't do a recap last show. I might as well do it proper this show. Recap, and then I'm going to get the fuck out of here with the last words from you guys and me. Sound good? All right. Recapping the last show. Oh, it's been a pleasure, guys. It's been a pleasure. Taking Pereira over Rountree Jr., though I'm going to have a bet. My money will be on Rountree. Taking Pennington. Pennington punch. Is she going to be punched up? The punch. Punched up. Punch. Over Venezuelan Vixen, who just makes me want to shoot myself listening to her. Taking Jose Aldo over Mario Bautista. Taking Kayla Harrison over Ketlin Vieira. Taking Roman Dolidze over the Smack Man. Probably taking Thompson over Buckley. Might take Rodriguez over Lucindo, but might not. We'll see. Check me on Fight Day at Dan Tom MMA, or again Substack, where I'm going to have all these down. So this will be instead of your podcast, I'll probably be writing a little bit longer now. My fluid thoughts to extend my rants and my thoughts that ways. But that's how you guys will be able to follow that with the fluid thoughts. But yeah. I'm going to stay away from this fight, but I'll probably pick Hubbard over Hernandez reluctantly. Me and me, I'm going to pick Almeida over the Duelist. Everybody hates Etor. Taking St. Preux, OFP, Tennessee over Span. Take Pennington over Esparza. Take the Dirty Bird, Tim Means, over Court McGee. As far as plays go, chalk, I got Pennington, money line minus 156, 1.56 unit to win 1 unit. Aldo plus 125, 1 unit. 1 unit on Dolidze plus 130. Means inside the distance plus 200, 1.29 units. Harrison Vieira over 2.5 at minus 145 at 1.45 units. So, it's, hopefully Means comes through because I'm going to have Means inside the distance as in the round robin. Part of me wants to parlay because Means could win a decision, then I'm shit out of luck. Part of me wants to make it a 5-legger, which means it'd be tempting to put Means round 2, which is my official pick, instead of inside the distance. That way I still cash if the round robin leg misses, but being that Means inside the distance would be my most confident round robin leg, I do not want to sacrifice it. So my round robin's probably going to be Means inside the distance, Rountree by KO, Pennington by sub, and now the question is, do I go 4 or 5 with Aldo by KO and OSP moneyline? Because I don't want to get cute and do OSP by inside the distance because I can't do that at all houses, or I can only do that at one house if I wanted to. And OSP could win a decision here, so you'll want to kick for coverage there, right? And Aldo could easily win by a decision, but that KO is a big number, and it is a possibility. And especially if he wins, and I am picking him to win, I am playing him to win, so why not have some exposure on that method when it's a plus 600 to 700 number for the Aldo KO? You know what I'm saying? So maybe I might still just put all 5, even though if the lowest ones come through, which is a plus 200 and a plus 200, basically OSP's money line and Means inside the distance, that only comes to like 1.5 units. That doesn't cover the 1.7 of a 5-leg round robin exposure. But if everything else is hitting, we might not need that, And it might still get me over in the black, or it might not matter, or it might be even more in the black than I would have been. But like I always point out for people that give crap at my round robins, when you actually look at my losing nights, if you take the round robin and that exposure out of it, literally 99.99% I still lose, which is why I get so mad at people making fun of the round robins. There's not a lot of exposure in them. And if you really go back and do the specific math, not just the general math that checks out, you'll see that they didn't make or break my losing night. Now, does that change the fact that I'm still a losing better and I suck? Absolutely, I'm a losing better and I suck. But as far as criticizing the round robins, that's not what is make or breaking me. But that's what it's going to basically look like. Before I get to you guys, I want to share a couple things too that I've been meaning to share. A little Billy Quarantine quote here from Bill Burr. Remember I said I was going to share these clips. I want to share this one real quick. It's a stupid one, but where is it at? Where's Bill Burr doing a Billy Quarantine? I've been saying it enough. It's nice to hear the man himself say it. Let's see here. Hopefully you guys can hear this.
Fucking cowboy. Who was like, I was on the window seat, he was the aisle seat, and he was crossing his foot left leg over right, so I had to look at the bottom of his dirty feet. And when I would go up to go to the bathroom, he wouldn't put his shoes on. He would stand in the fucking aisle on that carpet. And it's like, dude, people are walking in and out of that bathroom. They are tracking fecal matter, urine. Sorry, just know that I still have the flu. I'm contagious until Sunday. So I'm not Billy bedridden right now. I'm Billy Quarantine.
Billy Quarantine. All right, Dan, relax. Oh, fuck, okay, there I go. Where's the other thing I want to show? There's the other one here. It was this, so my Mick Parkin thing. Oh, down there, oh, fucking hell, Mick Parkin, right there. And my impersonations suck extra bad. So this is Matt Lieb from the Fraudcast. So not only do I want you guys to hear all the Tanner Bowsers or the Viviana Otto show, right? All those. I want you guys to be stuck in your head. But also these. So when I do my Mick Parkin, I make him sound like the most stupidest English person in the world. Unfortunately, for my fellow Englishmen, I apologize. But this is Matt Lieb, really funny podcaster. This is who I essentially try to impersonate, who I hear every time I see Mick Parkin's face, much less he speaks. So please open your ears and let this poison you. This is what I've been trying to impersonate. This is what I want you guys to hear anytime you see Mick Parkin on a card.
Oh, you told on me, yeah? How could you do this? I was in your pussy in secret. You mean?
Who do you think? What do you think the first rock band?
You flapped your gum, didn't it? Me be gum in your means.
All right. What do you?
Sorry, that was
Oh, you told on me, yeah? How could you do this? I was in your pussy in secret. You mean?
Who do you think?
Sorry about that. All right, so that was Matt Lieb doing his English accent. That is essentially what I hear when I do McParkin raw day. Does that make a little more sense, folks? Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the jokes, the impersonations, the kookiness, the quirkiness. Hey, maybe I'll be in maybe I'll have a role in a bigger podcast, or someone will bring me on as a guest role where I feel like I thrive more in the future. Maybe I might actually fill my bucket list. Never for the UFC or anything. That won't happen. That's fine. I don't expect it to. But my bucket list and one of my dreams is still to call fights. And maybe, one day you guys will be able to hear that. Maybe someone will believe in this talent, and I can knock that off my bucket list and further shove it to the haters. But for now, I'm going to value my seat that I have. It's a rare seat. I'm very grateful. I'm very lucky. Again, keeping that same energy. It doesn't exist in gambling. It's a life thing, right? It's not just for the gamblers to be good winners or acknowledge how much luck it is. Who gives a fuck about them? We should all be grateful and acknowledge the luck in life, right? And I'm so lucky to be here. And because of that, I don't want to fuck it up any more than I have. And I'm going to try to salvage this. I'm going to try to salvage my health, my body, come back strong. And whether it's through more work opportunities, through covering the sport, or whether it's you see me stupidly go back in the ring, the cage, all of the above, to remind the masses of who the fuck I am, and more importantly, remind myself who the fuck I am. Well, there's plenty of ways you guys are going to see me, can see me. And there are ways you can still keep in touch. My email, which is listed on the YouTube channel here. If you go to the info, the Substack, direct messages. I can't promise I will get back to you fast on Twitter, but that account will remain open. I'm just going to be really only going as minimal for work purposes, and not going to really let myself respond to people unless it's like DM certain things. Like, for example, I still, which again, another reason why the haters hate me, because as bad as I am, I'm still respected by UFC broadcasters, and, I still regularly communicate with people from Laura Sanko to John Anik, who, these losers probably just like jerk off about in both weirdly different ways. But yeah, these are people I'm lucky enough to consider friends. And as much as I might hate on as much as these people hate on my analysis, or even I might hate on my own analysis, the fact is, really successful people that we all respect in this space, for whatever reason, respect my work. So suck on that, haters. Remember that, Dan Tom. I'm talking to myself here. And ultimately, thank you to you guys for supporting that work, for believing in that work when I haven't believed in it, and obviously others haven't believed in it. It's been you motherfuckers who have believed in this show. You believed in me. And in return, like I pointed out in the chat, and how you guys blow me away on the weekly with how fucking smart you guys are. You guys are probably, I hope you guys realize you're proving stuff to yourself as well, because you're blowing me away. And I couldn't thank you guys enough for everything. And I'll be here forever. So I'm going to wrap it up. It's already been a long enough show. I just want to try to end it on a positive note, not on the negative. But yeah, man, that's how you guys can find me. Instagram, Dan_Tom_MMA. I don't really advertise that too much, because then I just get trolls over there, and that site depresses me as well. I'm trying not to be on that one as much, to be honest, as well. And then the worst part about those trolls is, like, they can, like, find your family through that, and then they go, like, start bothering, like, family members and stuff, because that's the level of these people are. Which is why anytime I see any of y'all following any of these accounts that handle themselves like this, I automatically would judge people. Part of the reason why I slowly grew bitter, because you just run out of people to, get disappointed in, because that's how disappointing the space can be. But there's plenty of good people, been able to cultivate them here. Thank you guys. So let's get to you guys and get the fuck out of here. All right. Rain Lamina, your sayings will live on. Body work doesn't get counted and the matchmakers are terrible. That's right, baby. Legit on the verge of tears. Going to miss your podcast, but we'll appreciate your written work just as much. Love you, Dan. Man, you guys almost had me on the tears earlier. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but you guys actually had me close, to be honest. So no shame in the tears, man. That's the thing, too. It's something, real men cry. Real human beings cry. There's nothing wrong with that. It takes more. As you get older, folks, you realize that not all these things are natural and undeniable, but it actually takes strength to be vulnerable, right? And the people that will make fun of you for being vulnerable are the same people that can't even. And again, you guys are different because you're also obviously good people. You don't have to have your real name. You don't have to have your real first your avatar. Like, I don't blame people for not. Like, that's not what I'm saying, folks. But you know what I mean. All the people that say weak and this and that, like, they can't even have their identity. They're so weak they can't even like have their face on the internet. That's how soft they are. They have to hide behind stuff. So it's just what it is. Bruce Lee, good game, Dan. Zang Gang for PYN. Jimmy Kudo, I'm gonna miss you guys, man. Synchro Wing, thank you for all the memories. Sad that this show is ending, but happy for you, Zang Gang. Fuck yeah, Zang Gang. By the way, keep that up too. I love you guys. Zang Gangs. Protect your neck, Joe Z. Trying to hold back tears. TYM for life, fist in the air. Oh, I fucking love you, James Kendrick. Your passion, bro. You're definitely fit for this show. I know you're like me, James. You'd apologize a whole bunch, just like I do. You're a passionate motherfucker, just like I am, man. You found the right show, James, and I found the right listeners with you and others. So thank you. Rhea says in Truesdale, PYN for life, artist formerly known as Twitter. That's right. I'll miss this show. Thank you so much for everything, Dan. Michael Panza, what's up, Dan? Thoughts on Pereira sub prop? Moving from plus 2,500 to plus 1,000. Is that Poeton? Wow, people are coming in on that sub prop. Maybe that talk with the Kayla, I'm guessing, is that. Michael Panza, I wish you luck. Whatever you play, sir. Sammy Arnett, you've created an amazing community of sharp minds. Truly something special to be proud of. I need to remember that more often, Sammy. And that's what today was about. Thank you, sir. You are a part of that, Sammy. Michael Panza says, thanks for all the years of content. I will no doubt miss this show. Appreciate you guys. Synchro Wing. Hey, Dan. You should check out Drake Riggs' Discord. We'd love to have you on there. It's non-toxic and gross mods. I think I still have a Discord account. It's just one other thing to be on. And I'm trying to get better at answering people on my Substack. But I appreciate that. Drake is the man. Joe Z. I love you, Dan. I love you guys so much, guys. All right. It's 2:16. I'll be around, guys. Again, there's plenty of ways you can get at me that I just listed. I'm wishing you guys nothing but the best. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. This has been fun, man. I'm glad I did this, If I could superimpose the empty Uncle Phil house like Will Smith, close your eyes. That's where we're at right now. For Unity's references, we'll close out with one. And it's been real, guys. I love you. Try to be good to one another. And always protect your neck.